City Subjugation 5. Wuxia looked extremely miserable with his distraught face. If one didn't know better, they would assume his wife and daughters keep snatched away by a thief. Lady, I am very useful, really useful compared to that Budway. Don't you want to attack the celestial realm? I can help guide you there. In order to get there in one piece, you must pass through the sky forest. I know how to pass through it with ease. It's very familiar to me. I can help reduce the amount of detour you must take. It's then Deed Song whispers something into his wife's ear. First elder and state teacher both went to the celestial realm before. In other words, they are already familiar with the mentioned sky forest, so there's no need for a guide. Wuxia didn't miss that and grew paler than a ghost. He started to tremble without intent due to the immense fear he felt at having his offer shot down. I have other uses. I know a lot of people in the celestial realm. Information are always useful during times of war. So you can use a spy, right? Yes, I can be your spy and work from within. Now that was hilarious in Bai Yan's eye. If that's the case, why did you get thrown out to this border city then? As unwilling as the big guy was in telling his own story, he nevertheless relented after getting to grip with the situation. It's better than being called a liar, and to protect his own chastity from those sick dragons. I hooked up with a young miss of a large family clan back then. That's why I got sent here to this outskirt of a city. But I have a cousin, he works at that big household. He promised to get me back once he finds a way. Rolling her eyes. And what does that do to help us? That background of yours doesn't seem very useful at all. No. That household my cousin is in is a big one. So I will be able to gather any information you would like. And that miss is also deeply in love with me. She must still be waiting for me to go back. Though skeptical, Bai Yan eventually decides to take a chance given the opportunity. I'll give you a chance. If you can complete the mission I have, then you can be a slave. What mission? Said Wuxia, his eyes bright. Help me look for information on a person. Who? Bai Ning. She needs to know whether or not this Bai Ning was her mother or not, and where she was in the celestial realm. Relieved by the path laid before him, Wuxia inhales deeply. It's just asking about a person. How hard can this mission be? Don't worry, lady. I will definitely get news on this Bai Ning that you've requested. Just wait for my good news. Revealing a charming smile, Wuxia never felt so happy about protecting his own ass from others. Sweeping her sight on the rest after that, Bai Yan gives her next order. You can all return to your homes in a bit. In addition, the fact about your submissions to demons must be kept a secret from those familiar to you in the celestial realm, especially the close acquaintances in your life. Be warned. If I find out whoever leaks this news, it won't just be the destruction of your soul. Bai Yan's words sounded bullying now after emphasizing her ability to crush them so many times. Another thing, making a thoughtful look. If there's any demonic beasts still locked up in your homes, release them immediately. I won't interfere if they're willing to follow you of their own accord. However, I will not permit this custom to continue. If a demonic beast voluntarily takes a human as their master, then she has nothing to say or to do. But if forced, then as their queen Bai Yan has a duty to intervene. Do you all understand? Bai Yan asks the silent group, hammering her point through by forcing a response. City Subjugation 6. We will comply. The crowd of voices echoed in unison, spreading across this hall as one big mass. Without another word, Bai Yan flicks her hand open and summons up a portrait before handing it over to the demon princess. Xiao Wan passed this over to them. They can memorize the picture on their own. Okay, sister-in-law. Taking the item like a good helper, Di Xiaowan happily hands the portrait to the nearest human slave she found. One by one, each individual memorized the picture until it reached the last in the rear. Of course, the faces they made were not missed by Bai Yan's sharp attention gaze. She wanted to test them for signs of recognition, and sure enough, there's a single individual who made a surprised face when handed the item. Immediately her face sank a little. Aside from the yellow-robed young man, everyone can leave. They may be surprised and unsure why, but these humans weren't going to protest. Cupping their fist, the crowd quickly dispersed, and left the poor young lad sweating from the fear of being singled out. Queen, is there something you need of me by asking me to stay? The nervous lad croaks this out. Have you seen this man in the portrait? She narrows in her eyes, causing a new layer of white surface on the lad's face. I, blowing up with dangerous light now. Speak. Where is he? If you dare lie, then that person's fate will be yours next. After much choking and struggling of the tongue, a clear answer eventually came forth. A while back I saw him battling with someone else in the forest. He got injured and escaped. Afterwards I don't know what happened to him. Having said that, he immediately got to his knees in a kowtowing stance. Queen, it wasn't deliberate. I didn't intend to watch him get hurt. If I had known he was your brother, I would have done everything I can to save him. Immensely cold and dangerous in her aura, Bai Yan's fists clenched harder and harder, until the very bones in there started to crackle. She couldn't help it. When this bastard mentioned Bai Xiao being injured, and had to flee, her heart twisted in pain like someone just ripped it out and wring it dry. That lovable brother. That sensible kid who would use his own body to take the beatings in her place. Everything from the past came swelling back in her memories and suffocated her breathing. Do you know where he went? Shaking his head with distinct fear in those eyes. I don't know, but I know it's people from the celestial realm who hurt him. Celestial realm, gnashing her teeth. An unbridled fury roars out of Bai Yan's throat, wanting to engulf that very name in flames. If those people dare to hurt my brother, then I will subvert the entire world, if I must to exact revenge. Now the debt between her and the celestial realm just went up by another card. Sure, she's still hundreds, if not thousands of miles away from reaching the goal of payback, but the determination was there, and won't be removed under any circumstances. Yin Yan, coming over to give her a hug from behind, Deet Song's voice grew tender and warm like he's going to change whatever ill fate that might befall his brother-in-law. Don't worry, I will help you find that boy. He will be all right. Deet Song, do you know? Although I am not the original Bai Yan, but the memories of the past remained with me like a vivid picture, deeply imprinted into my mind. I still remember, when I was being bullied and hurt with no one to turn to, it was he who used his thin, frail body to protect me. His worry one. He was clearly the one who needed protection back then, but each and every time it was he who shielded me. And then I didn't even say goodbye that year when I fled. I caused him so much pain, yet he never blamed me for any of it. Deet Song, I can clearly give him the protection that we lacked back then with my current influence and power, but you know, he would rather gain his own, so that he can make a peaceful place for me. That's what he said, pausing with choking grief. Bai Xiao is my brother, my one and only brother. He's injured while away from home. How can my heart not ache and worry for him? Aching at his wife's distress, Deet Song hurries to give that trembling body a hug. Yin Yan, believe in me. I will see to it he returns to us safely. After a long while of this sobbing picture, Bai Yan finally regains her composure with eyes of steel plastered across that face. Deet Song, I'm going to the celestial realm. Making a frown. Now? Yes, I'm going now. My mother and brother might be there right this instant. They are both my family, so I'm going to bring them back home. Looking at the woman's resolute face, Deet Song didn't object to the idea. Just that. Can you give me a bit of time first? Deet Song. Bai Yan makes a surprised look at her own husband. Give me a little more time. Although I can't conquer the entire celestial realm for you, but the time will give me room to create a safe haven over on that side for you. With deep feelings and tenderness in those eyes, he kissed her on the forehead. Promise me this. Give me a little more time, and I will accompany you to find my mother-in-law and brother-in-law. Okay. Bai Yan knew her insistence on the matter would only worry this man. Therefore she didn't resist. I'll wait for a while longer, and use this period to improve my strength. When I break into the celestial rank, he won't need to worry so much anymore. At least enough to protect those close to me. That should be enough, right? Despite the reassuring smile coming off of Deet Song's face, underneath it all were not the thoughts and feelings of someone with confidence. It looks like the plan must be advanced ahead of time. If Shower is being attacked, then they might be doing it because of me and Yin Yan. Watching all of this from the sideline, Di Xiaowan was extremely envious of the teen mentioned in their conversation. So this is the bond of having a sister, it's so good. Why can't I have an older sister like Bai Yan, and not this mean old grumpy brother of mine? Yin Yan, are you tired? Your complexion isn't looking so great, asked the man who's oblivious to his own sister's bemoaning. Nodding. I'm not sure either, but my body's been feeling sleepy and tired all the time recently. Bring me inside, Ditsong, I want to rest. This explanation relieved the Demon King, who's already got a lot on his plate. It's good that it's nothing. Although the bed here can't be compared to the palace's, you should still rest on it a little. After saying that, Ditsong carefully supported the woman out of the hall, like she's some sort of frail item that would shatter at the slightest bump. His worry too. What are you still doing here? Said the demon princess towards the dumb-looking young man, who had been stayed by Bai Yin earlier. Are you going to scram, or do I have to kick you out? Shuddering, the individual didn't need no urging to throw himself out the door. He's afraid this girl would take his life for being even a second too later. Princess, Dragoni then comes over and gives the girl a slight tug of the sleeve. When will brother come out? Cheering up in her mood at the sight of this cute missy, Di Xiaowan unconsciously reached down to pinch the pink little cheek. Smiling. You've already taken my sister-in-law as your godmother. Why are you still calling me princess? Raising a super sweet smile. Auntie. That's good, said the princess with a stupid grin. Thankfully I have you to stick around with me. Those heartless pair always leave me behind. Come, your auntie here will take you out to eat delicious things. At this moment the sweet Dumbaklutz has discovered the benefits of having a niece, because she won't be so bored with this extra companion. Oh, I can't wait for sister-in-law to get another baby. A girl would be the best. Auntie, are you state teacher's wife? Staring curiously, the little dragoness suddenly looks up to ask using that childish voice. Stiff in the face and lips twitching, Di Xiaowan had to take a good moment to calm her fluttering heart. Who told you that? Listening to rumors is no good, Dragoni. I am still an unwed maiden. But that's what everyone in the demon realm says. Twinkling like the starry stars in the night sky, Dragoni didn't carry any room for doubt. Going white again, Di Xiaowan bites her lip like a rattled fox. Dragoni, you mustn't let those people fool you. Your auntie and state teacher. We aren't in any kind of relationship. Growling, don't let me find out who is spreading all these rumors, I'll show them. Shame for her though. The main reason there's such rumors floating about in the demon realm was all thanks to Ditsong. Even if she does figure out the source, it's not like this scaredy fox would go do anything. Back over in the main bedroom, Ditsong and Bai Yan had just gotten into a comfortable position on the bed. Yen, don't worry, I won't let anyone hurt you no matter the cost. Holding her head against his chest, his arm seemingly wants to melt their body together by this gesture. Slightly startled by his words, Bai Yan's forehead tightened in discomfort. What's going on? It's nothing, said the man, kissing her forehead in an attempt to stop her worrying. I only don't want to lose you, that's all. After saying this, Ditsong leans over and kissed her on the lip, letting his emotion flow into her by mingling their tongues together. He wanted her, and she wanted him. There's no denying it as their panting breath huffed and groaned from the desire erupting from within. Eventually the man's hand tears away the last layer of fabric shielding his prize, and that's all he needed to see. Nothing was going to stop him now. Erecting his weapon of choice, he reaches down, prying her legs apart, and aimed for the wet sanctuary of all men between her thighs. Yin, I love you. He purrs beside her ear, getting a silent nod from the flushed woman beneath himself, indicating she's ready. He thrusts it in the next, powerful and deep in his ramming, getting a cry of pain and ecstasy from her mouth, as that back arched upward to form to the shape of his rod. MMH. Bai Yin moaned as the man dug deeper and deeper into her with every thrust, curling those toes after coming close to the first orgasm. Truthfully, she almost wanted to push him away initially from the lack of foreplay as a form of punishment, but it was too late. The reflexive clench from her abdomen had hooked his manhood, due to all that throbbing in the final push. Then again, This devilish of a man wasn't going to let her go anyways at this point. And they were just beginning for the night. A good sleep later with much sex in between. Bai Yin was feeling rather drowsy on this morning, as the faint light shot through the window screen to land on her closed eyes. Gradually opening them, the view was groggy at first until it eventually orientated to that striking and familiar face she spent all night connecting with. It's a happy one, but also a yearning one for more. His worry 3. Yin Yin, why don't you go back to the mainland during this period? Since your strength is now higher, you should be able to enter the 3 miracle hidden underneath the 3 powers there. It must be something incredibly useful if the people from the spirit realm wanted it so much. Musing over the suggestion, Bai Yin eventually nods in agreement. Okay, that's great. I have other things to do for now, so I won't go back with you, but I'll come later. His voice low and hoarse, almost tickling against the woman's ear when he whispered the intent over. You're not done yet. She was slightly taken aback by the fact, looking up and staring into his eyes for confirmation. Understanding why, Deetsong reaches over to give her a hug of reassurance. It will be fast. I will come back to you very soon. Then this time you... Something choked in her throat then. Bai Yin wanted more information, but failed to ask in the end, fearing what she didn't want to hear. I originally came because I heard there were people trying to harm you, but now that you're safe, it's time I went back. Working towards our future is something a man should do, don't you agree, my love? Her heart shook at that proclamation. If those are sweet words of trying to score points with Bai Yin, then it's definitely working. She's feeling warm inside, and would gladly take another round with this devilish bastard who wrecked her insides last night. Yin Yin, I will not let you live in danger with our son and unborn daughter. As your husband and their father, I will do everything to remove any obstacle in the way. Giggling at the shamelessness of that last bit. And how do you know I'm going to have a daughter? Because, the man's finger slowly slides down to her belly. We already have one trying to compete with me for your attention. I now need a girl to divert his focus lest he comes clinging to you every day. Slightly twitching in the corner of her lip, Bai Yin has had to hand it to this man. How much does he frown upon his own son? Once we have a daughter, we can then throw her to Xiachen, leaving only the 2 of us to roam the world in peace and joy. Upon fantasizing the beautiful future, Deetsong's face evokes a dashing grin that could amaze the world if frozen in time. We're not taking our daughter, she asks with a frown. It's enough to have Xiachen by her side. Besides, only you are allowed to get close to me, no one else is allowed. That includes his own daughter, no exception. And I don't need to worry with that boy in charge. If any brat dares to get close to my daughter, he will clobber them in my stead. A flash of hard sternness flickers across Deetsong's eyes. Just because he doesn't want to take his daughter along on their merry trip, doesn't mean he doesn't like her. In fact, he's going to be more protective of his daughter than the mother here in question. Bai Yin literally went black from the bleak future awaiting her own daughter. She could already imagine the sort of picture where the girl gets overly protected by her boy and husband like 2 guardian gods that would repel any pompous lad who dares to draw too close. It's getting late now. I need to go back. Showing a smile, she hooks those arms around the man's neck and imprints her own version of a French kiss onto those lips. I'm going to get much stronger, just you wait, Deetsong. You won't be the only one conquering those from the celestial realm. I too will make them pay the price with their own blood. That remark was damning for Deetsong. He knew this wife of his has always been the strong-headed type, but her will was simply too perfect for his own. Unable to resist the urge, he throws himself at her and raises another storm on the bed this morning. Oh Yin Yin, I can't get enough of you at all. He reaches down and presses in, forcing his way in just like last night. His worry 4. It wasn't until near noon before the man stopped his rapid act of procreation that Bai Yin could finally get herself dressed for the day's work. Nevertheless, she gave him one final kiss before striding out for the door. Deetsong, I'm going to leave with Emily Shang and Dragoni in bit. She swings her head with her back still turned at the doorframe. But I expect you to have someone inform me if you find any clue regarding my brother's whereabout. For this man though, his focus didn't lie with that brother-in-law though nay, He's more focused on the strange young man who's been tailing his wife lately. You and that Emily Shang, what sort of relationship do you have with him exactly? I know he's not related to you, that much I'm certain. Standing there with his body still naked and hefty arsenal dangling between his crotch, he stares at her with curiosity and worry. He lost his memory when I picked him up from the road. As it so happens, I ended up bumping into him again at this border town. That's why I kept him around. But why do I keep getting the sensation that he's looking at you wrong? Making a grumbling sound, he starts getting all sour in his voice. That's the same look a man gives to their favorite woman. I don't like it. Amused by this, Bai Yin couldn't take it anymore and turned completely to meet his gaze. You know, you are such a petty fox. He's no more than a child to me, not to mention he's lost his memories. At most he's only a brother to me. Flash stepping over to the doorway to embrace his wife's waist. Deetsong uses his other hand to pinch up at her cheek. I don't care. If he has any unfavorable motive about you, then I'll turn him to ash for having thoughts about my woman. She can only be my wife. No one else can touch. That includes ogling her or having bad thoughts. That's so. She starts giggling with an amused flavor. Then what about Chui Feng? Why aren't you going to make trouble for him? Speaking of his wife's god-brother, the sourness and petty nature immediately poured out of this great demon king, almost frowning. If he didn't protect both you and Xiachen in your times of need, I would have pummeled him to the ground already. Downright bursting out laughing now, Bai Yin went ahead to wrap her own hands around this naked man's waist before leaning her head onto that defined chest. There's a loving air hovering around her eyes, clearly taken by his possessiveness for once. You should stop being so petty, Deetsong. I only have you in my heart, and everyone else is only a friend to me. What she said there was a fact. Ever since Bai Yin decided to take him as her husband, she's decided long ago not to keep any of her inner feelings hidden, only openness and the truth. Sure enough, every drop of that sourness promptly dissipated from Deetsong's face, leaving only a gleeful look of satisfaction. Yin, I will definitely keep my promise to you. This was his oath to her. Not only in this life, but the next, and the one after that as well, forever till the end. If he couldn't achieve that, then Deetsong intends to perish in heart and soul along with her, if that's what it means to be at her side. After going their separate ways, the man staying behind to get dressed and the woman leaving, Bai Yin didn't make it very far before being stopped in her tracks. The main reason being Wuxia standing at the other end of the long corridor of this estate past the bedroom. Lady, I am here to be at your command. Due to being so surprised by the third party standing there, Bai Yin actually flushed with embarrassment and didn't know how to respond at first. How much did you hear? She anxiously asks, dreading the impending answer, hurrying to shake his head like a rocking drum. I didn't hear anything, nothing at all. Quit joking around. So what if I heard the love talk and moans and cries of this boss lady? I'd be damn stupid to admit to that now. His worry 5. Mood improved by the obvious lie. Bai Yin didn't want to press the awkward issue. Instead, she got back to why this guy's standing near her place of rest. Why are you looking for me? Wu Xiong grew cautious in his tone. Lady, I am now your slave already. Don't you have anything to instruct me? Landing her sight on that square-shaped face, her expression furrowed and hard. Didn't I tell you before already? You are slaves to the demon race as a whole, and not to me. But since you are here anyways, I want you to go help call my daughter over along with Shang. Yes, lady. Hurrying to give his bow of compliance, he turns and almost ran for it before being called again. Wait a minute. Go call that Healing over as well. She adds, causing a look of surprise in Wu Xiong's face before it returned to normal. A while later, Dragoni and the rest had arrived before Bai Yan's presence. The little missy was ecstatic to see her godmother again, after the previous night's outing into the local market. Mother, her voice innocent and lovely as usual. Go pack up everyone, we're leaving this city now. Queen mother. The milky doll of a baby nearly threw himself at Bai Yan's feet after breaking free from Emily Shang's grasp. Did you ask His Majesty about my origin? A touch of embarrassment flew into Bai Yan's face over that question. She didn't know how to answer that without making the baby sad. What? Was this woman supposed to tell everyone she's been too busy, having wild sex last night with her man, and then forgot again this morning, when they went for a second round? Hell no. Thankfully the situation got resolved by the little missy who bluntly answered him. Hanging his little head, the dolly baby that's Molly could only make a moping face, after getting the disappointing response. I promise you, Molly, I will ask for you next time, okay? Giving the baby's head a warm hug, she felt terrible right now for her own carelessness. Still dejected, Molly nevertheless nods in agreement. Okay, Queen Mother. You must help me ask next time though, okay? I really want to know where I came from, and why all my kin died. And why the annals recorded in history never mention anything about flying pigs, or anything related to that in the old stories. This dolly baby has always regarded himself as a special existence, mainly because of the wings on his back. That's why he's never willingly admitted to being a pig. Lady, Wuxia meekly chimes in with a smile then. I've called He Ling over as well. Do you need anything else of me? Rubbing her chin in contemplation. He and you will follow me to the mainland. The mainland? He Ling's mouth twitched profusely at the notion. Does she mean that human realm, where it's pitifully short on resources? Even worse than this border city? As unwilling as he was about going, He Ling didn't have the nerve to object. He could only bow his head and press down his inner grudge for further instruction. Wuxia, don't forget your promise. Bai Yan shoots a warning stare over to the big guy before leaving. If you can't get any news regarding Bai Ning, then I'm afraid your only future is to become the playmates of those demons with a peculiar taste in their sex. Shivering right down to his spine. Lady, I will do everything in my power to complete that mission. You can count on it. Miracle 1, Holy Land. On a certain beautiful island filled with blossoming flowers and plum trees, two individuals, Lord Wu Wei of the Misty Fairy House, and Bai Chang Feng of the Medicine Sect, were arguing with heated flare in their faces that went all the way up to the ear. Meanwhile on the side was Lord Chu Ran of the Holy Land. He's making a helpless face at the contention between these two parties, who barged into his territory on this day. Why did the two of you come to my holy land if you want to fight? There's your own medicine sect in Misty Fairy House, go there instead. My little holy land can't afford to host the two of you, so hurry and leave. There's good reason for Lord Chu Ran to make such a demand. The two over there were some of the strongest cultivators on these lands. If they start a brawl on his home, then it might as well become a wasteland afterwards. So for the sake of keeping peace on the Holy Land, and for his own home, he must hurry and send these two troublemakers away. Unexpectedly, instead of leaving as told, the look these two gave to this host was that of discontent and anger. This holy island is my granddaughter's place. Why can't I come and see? Rather, it's this old thing here. Bai Chang Feng points accusingly at his in-law. Why is this bastard from the Misty Fairy House here? I want an answer. The matter regarding Bai Ning has always been a thorn in this old grandpa's heart. Therefore it didn't take much to provoke it when finding someone he didn't want to see here of all places. Talk about a volcanic eruption. Ignoring the furious look coming his way, Chief Wu Wei first organizes his own clothes before speaking. I came to have a look at my granddaughter's place. Regardless of whether or not Yin Yen is willing to recognize me as her grandfather, my son is still her father. That won't change regardless of your opinion. In other words, their bloodline was inseparable. No matter how angry this old grandpa was, Bai Yin was still his blood and kin regardless of what others want. Bai Chang Feng snorts with derision. Your wife and son aren't bad, I'll give you that. However, until my daughter is found, I will never forgive you for what you've done back then. Against the grief-stricken face of his foe, Chief Wu Wei didn't have any rebuttal. He knows the fault lies with him, so he kept silent on the topic. What else was he supposed to say? That he deliberately didn't want Bai Ning to marry his so back then, and that it's the girl's fault for not revealing her background ahead of time. That's ridiculous even to his own ear. Let's calm down everyone. This matter happened long ago. Plus Chief Wu Wei here knows he's wrong. Lord Chu Ran starts playing as the mediator. More importantly though, didn't he promise to help find Bai Ning at all cost? She's still his son's love, So there's no question about his sincerity, is there? That comment did help soothe the mood in Bai Changfeng's heart. However, the look of disdain didn't leave the old grandpa's face at all. We will talk when I have my daughter back. If I find out this old thing dares to bully my beloved daughter when she does, I will take both Yin Yan and her away and never let him see them again. I've made some stupid mistakes before. Chief Wu Wei heaves a long sigh in response. I know that, don't worry. As an upfront promise, I will use my remaining lifetime to make up to your daughter and never let anyone hurt them again. Is that good now? Miracle 2. How come you're all here? It's then when their argument was at a standstill. A faint soft voice cuts in from above and catches their ear. In particular was Bai Changfeng and Chief Wu Wei, who immediately recognized the said owner. Dressed in a rosy red dress, her figure was mesmerizing under the brilliant light of the glistening sun. It's great that you're all here. Now I don't have to go out of my way to find each one of you. I'm just curious, did all three of you carry the keys for the miracles? If so, can I have it? At first Bai Changfeng was taken aback by this request and furrowed his forehead. However, he eventually released the tension to only turn it into absolute shock on his old face. You broke into the saint rank, high level at that? How long has it been since she first stepped into the monarch rank? How can she make so many breakthroughs? This is ridiculous. Chief Wu Wei didn't fare much better either. He's bleeding inside. One for being the one who pushed this amazing granddaughter away before she was even born, and then destroying the bond that he was supposed to hold as her grandfather. If only I didn't break up my son's relationship with her mother, then Yenna would have grown up happily in my misty fairy house. Perhaps her achievement would surpass what she has now with the proper support from the very beginning. You, Chu Ran laments a sigh at the sight of this woman. I still remember when Zhengqi brought you back here for the first time. You were so severely injured that there's not a trace of your body that wasn't covered in blood. But look at you now, quietly advancing into the peak of the saint rank already. Bai Changfeng openly frowned at that comment. What did you just say? When she came to the Holy Land she was covered in blood. Yes, the Holy Lord faintly nods in confirmation. Back when Zhengqi brought her back, the girl's strength was very weak, incomparable to her current strength. What followed had gone deaf to Chief Wu Wei's ear. In his mind, the only thing that kept reverberating across his head was that heart-wrenching sentence. Covered in blood, severely injured. As one could imagine, if Zhengqi, the third elder of the Holy Land, didn't bring the girl and her son back that day, what sort of fate would have awaited them? It couldn't be good if she got that injured. Thank you. Inhaling deeply, the medicine lord turns to make a deep bow to Lord Chu Ran. There's only sincerity in his old eyes right now and nothing else. Over the years, there had been countless feuds between the Holy Land and Medicine sect. But with this truth coming to light, it's bound to be resolved without problem. Why are you all acting so soppy all of a sudden? That happened years ago. Am I not fine and well right now? Bai Yin comes down from the air with her daughter in hand. Isn't that right? I'm fine now, so that's all it matters. Yenner, we've been carrying the key on us from the very beginning. Now that you've reached the minimum requirement, it's time we gave it to you. After saying this, the medicine lord was the first to rummage through his storage ring, bringing out a half-moon-shaped object. Then it was Chief Wu Wei of the Misty Fairy House who brought out a similar item. And when combined with the former, it just so happens to form a glowing shape of a sun. However, it was Lord Chu Ran of the Holy Land who had the actual-looking key that fits exactly into the middle of the whole of said artifact. Miracle 3. In a booming flash of brilliance, a ray of white light beams down from the aerial void, landing directly in front of Bai Yan's spot, and dazzles the entire island. Moments later, the light eventually subsides, but it didn't leave behind nothing. There's a huge bronze gate emitting a strange glow of divinity after it receded. Bai Yan found herself unable to control her own motor skills. She's like a moth right now, being drawn in captivation to a burning pyre of flame. Though beautiful, it's dangerous and likely to lead to self-destruction. In the end, her entire existence disappears from sight as the light envelopes her body once the gate opens. Lord Chu Ran made a solemn look at this change. Lord Bai, Chief Wu Wei, go call your elite disciples here. We need to stand guard while she's away. I don't know what will happen, but we cannot allow any form of interruption during this period. The two grandfathers nodded in agreement regarding this matter. They too don't know the consequences of this bronze gate being destroyed, but they have no intention of finding out when it's their own granddaughter that's in there. Very soon, a formidable fighting force was gathered at the Holy Land, with many speculating the reason for their summoning. Back over on Bai Yan's side, things were very quiet and eerie. There's nothing but a sea of mist that blocked off her view in whatever place she got transported to. In the end, she could only wander around aimlessly searching for signs or clues to what to do next. Unbeknownst to the woman herself, though, she has never been alone since her arrival. Surrounding her within the mist were 4 hazy figures: a tiger, dragon, phoenix, and a turtle. They made up the 4 loyal guards that has always protected her. Minutes later, hours passed. It soon became clear that this wasn't going to get her anywhere. But then it happened. In the middle of aimless wandering, Bai Yan suddenly bumped into some invisible force with her forehead and nearly fell backwards from the impact. You're here? A powerful force booms seemingly from the far-off distance, like it's some sort of gigantic flood, causing the female in question to go blank from the wave. Despite the sound signature being clearly that of a woman's, it's hardly feministic or gentle. In fact, it's majestic and strong, like a hero of a battlefield. Furthermore, a powerful gush of sadness suddenly overcomes Bai Yan's heart, causing an unusual sense of familiarity for the woman herself. Now that you have come, it proves you are qualified in this life to challenge those from the celestial realm. Regaining her composure after being released from her turbid state, Bai Yan carefully spoke. Who are you? You are me and I am you, the woman's voice explains. Right now the task at hand is to increase your strength. Only by doing so can you deal with those shameless individuals from the celestial realm. Celestial realm? A frown appears on Bai Yan's perplexed face. What happened between you and them? Can I know the reasoning behind the strong grudge? A snarling laugh rocks the world. It's filled with disdain and disgust, like that of someone speaking about their sworn enemy. Those hypocrites wanted to use me, because I'm considered special in their eyes. When I didn't play along with their plan, they announced to the world that I would destroy everything that is known to mankind. They hunted me for their greed and their deception. And then there's that so-called childhood friend of mine. I trusted him, believed in him when he said he would protect me as long as he lives. But for the sake of the celestial realm, he abandoned me and joined forces with those who wished me harm. Bai Yan's heart quivered at the notion. She's supposed to be listening in from the perspective of an outsider, yet it's not giving her that unrelated emotion that should have been there. It's painful, so painful that she wanted to clench her own heart from the intense pounding. Then that's when the picture of that man in white appeared again, the one from her dreams. She understands now. The unknown individual with his back facing her. He's the childhood friend mentioned here by that voice, the betrayer. Miracle 4. A person who ignores her for the sake of the celestial realm. Did you just say you were special? She frowns. Can you tell me why? It took a minute for that voice to return, but it did eventually after leaving Bai Yan standing there. I cannot tell you. It brought me great disaster when I became aware of that truth, not long after my persecution. For your safety, you need to wait, because it will only hinder your development with your strength. Pausing for a second, the voice seems to have thought of something else. And I, this wisp of my soul, its mission is to tell you something important. Do you have a little dragon around? Bai Yan widened her eyes in surprise. Are you talking about Dragoni? Yes, you must keep her safe. She is the one who can protect you in the future. In addition, I am ashamed to say that I owe the 4 sacred beasts an apology in failing them. My hope is that you can find them again. Musing for a second before speaking. Suzaku is still alive and well, and I found Azure Dragon and White Tiger already. Now the only one missing is Black Turtle. Black Turtle? The voice suddenly choked at the name. I remember burying him in another place. If he's reincarnated, he's going to be there as well. I'm sorry, I can't remember where exactly, it's been so long. No matter how powerful one was in life, a wisp of their soul was still just a wisp. Plus, it's been so long. The past was bound to leave this voice like everything in life. Bai Yin looked up, wanting to trail the voice. However, the view has become obscured again by the mist at this point. You don't have to look, you can't see me, and I don't want you to see me either, said the voice with a tinge of cheer in there. What's more, what is there to see? I am you after all. Bai Yin hung her head, contemplating the words she's heard so far, and the illusionary dreams about that battlefield. So that's my past life? I believe what you've said, but that's not what I'm here for. They say the 3 keys can open a miracle here. That's what I'm seeking. Only by being stronger can I fight my enemies. The voice suddenly breaks out into a chuckling laugh, somehow portraying no emotion, yet able to dazzle Bai Yin into a trance due to how beautiful it was. I did give the items that could open up this place to 3 different individuals back then. I just didn't expect them to pass it down as some sort of miracles. Bai Yin pricks her brow. Not miracles? Then those from the spirit realm really came for nothing last time. No matter, it's good that I got in here. At least I now know what I must do, and the question about that battlefield is now resolved. But, the woman's voice pauses again. What I left behind may be useless for others, but it's indeed a miracle for you specifically. Lighting up in her eyes. What do I need to do? You don't have to do anything. Let my soul merge with you, and you will naturally break through into the celestial rank. Compared to the heroic and majestic tone from earlier, the voice now grew softer and more caring. Though the suggestion startled Bai Yin for a second, she didn't back down. All right, what do you need me to do during the fusion? Don't resist my entry. Relax and take in everything that is me. I will guide my soul and yours together, becoming one again. Merging of the soul 1. Bai Yin slowly closed her eyes as instructed. However, it's exactly then a strange force rushed into her mind and dived straight into the soul. It's painful, like a sharp needle piercing through her skin, causing a shudder to run down her spine. Nevertheless, she endures and allowed the other side to enter with ease. Due to the fact that their souls are consciously trying to merge, Bai Yin had the ability to detect everything that's happening from within. This meant that the female soul that entered her body was in all intent exposed to her probing. She wore an average and plain-looking dress, nothing special about that. But the eerie and spooky smirk that appeared on the woman's face sent the alarms in Bai Yin's mind blaring. Boom! Without indication, an intense force blasted the main core that was her own soul, causing a mouthful of blood to come squirting out of the mouth. What are you trying to do? She said, biting her lips in exasperation, as those hands clenched into a fist. Kakik! The strange and eerie laugh rocked her mind, making Bai Yin's complexion to go white, and losing all forms of color. Do you know how many years it has been since I was in here? Although I was part of your soul when I first split from you. But now my consciousness is my own, and not a simple fragment of yours anymore. If it wasn't for the sealed powers of the 4 sacred beasts in here protecting you from me at the beginning, I would have reaped control of your body from the very start. But you are foolish, opening yourself up to me without a second thought. Quivering at the truth, Bai Yin's eyes instinctively looked up to the sky where the hazy contour of the 4 sacred beasts appeared. They're attacking the barrier that's blocking off herself from them, and they're very anxious and urgent to get to her. A wisp of soul can have their own personality? Muttering this like she's speaking to herself, Bai Yin's temple furrowed into a knot at this new knowledge. It's exactly as this fragmented soul said. It's what Bai Yin's previous self had left behind. But through the baptism of Ian's past, this thing has now developed its own personality, and intends to wipe the original host away in order to take the body. You can't even begin to imagine the sort of things I had to go through, day in and day out, waiting here in this place with no knowledge of I will ever get out because of you. But you have come, and so willingly at that. I thank you for the opportunity, the other me. Don't worry though. I will love your husband and son like you did. After all, we are the same person in the end. Originally Bai Yin was flustered and even panicked at the predicament she threw herself into. But once Song's name was brought up and the image of that dashing masculine face popping up in her mind, any hesitation and uncertainty was resolved. She's determined, not only for her own life, but for her husband, and most importantly her own boy. That naughty yet lovable son of hers. The one Bai Yin could never leave behind. I need no one else to love them, I alone am enough. Don't get ahead of yourself. Bursting open her eyes with fire in them. I am the original. I refuse to believe a mere fragment of my own soul can outdo the original. You will be defeated by me, and will submit to my will. Humph, I have never yielded in my life, not this one or the past. Even against the heavens, I have never feared, let alone a mere shard of my former self. Thinking up to here, Bai Yin didn't wait, and sat herself into a meditative pose, gathering all her focus on battling this invasive force. Merging of the soul 2, boom! A powerful and raging force explodes out of Bai Yan's core, forcing the invasive soul to backpedal several steps. You're just a high-level saint rank, how is that possible? There's horror and disbelief in the female soul's eye. Sneering, it was her turn to go on the offensive. It may not be possible for others, but it's me. And you're just a part of me in essence. Damn it! A flash of viciousness flared in the soul's eye. Originally she only said all that in order to make Bai Yin loosen her guard. She didn't expect the effects to be counter-effective, and make her blow up. No. I've waited for over 1,000 years, I cannot give up on this chance. I don't want to be just a soul. I want to be a real person. Determined as well. The soul fragment rushed towards Bai Yan's core again, her figure becoming sharp like a blade ready to tear into it. However, forget about drawing close. She didn't even manage that before being blown away by the invisible force. Didn't I say it already? You're just a part of me. And now I'm going to take you back. Bai Yin coldly states this with full-on malice in her words. Then without further urging, her own soul began to spread like a plague, which directly eases the anxious-looking ethereal beasts hovering outside the barrier. No! The soul fragment shrieks. Please let me go, I was wrong. I won't dare to go against you anymore, please don't melt me. Unfortunately for this overly confident existence, Bai Yin felt nothing at the plea. After all, it's like she said before, they are one and the same in the end. So without another word, her own soul completely tosses itself in with the attacker, and becomes an entangled hot mess. And since the fusion of a soul doesn't happen in merely just a day or two, it would be a while before her consciousness fully returned to normal. Spirit realm. Inside a large palace, Lu Qingyu's spy was sitting quietly inside the garden pavilion when a girl hurried over to make a report. Miss, your father wants to see you. He's looking for me. She cocks a brow in surprise. Do you know why? I do not know, milady. Then you go first. The lady waves her hand, dismissing the maid with that gesture, and began musing over the sudden summoning. Ever since that day she submitted to Bai Yin at the Misty Fairy House, Lu Qingyu's life hasn't been her own to decide. Therefore, as unwilling as she was to return to the spirit realm, this woman could only do as told. Fortunately, the lies she spouted worked in front of her father's eye and didn't raise any form of doubt. Otherwise she wouldn't know what to do then. But this summoning after 2 months of nothing, it worries her. Uncle June, caressing her chin, a flash of coldness flickered in the lady's eye. Are you able to guess why that old thing is looking for me? Lu Qingyu was undoubtedly a noble lady of the spirit realm, but due to her father's lack of care, and even disdain for her existence, she's never been able to experience the kind treatment that came with her status. Heck, even her surname was that of her own mother, and not her father's. Merging of the Soul 3. Junho's response came right away. I suspect the Spirit Lord is planning to make a big move. Shuddering inside, Lu Qingyu's posture grew tense. Let's go, we need to go investigate the matter. I can only hope that the old thing doesn't go to the mainland, otherwise. With Bai Yan's current strength, she's no match for him. At that thought, the lady immediately headed out for the assembly hall, her face pale and unease apparent. Already inside the main hall, a fierce-looking white-haired elder was already sitting atop of the throne chair, his gaze scanning inspectively at the gathered crowd beneath himself. Sit down if you're here. Stone hard and unreadable, as usual in these types of meetings. Lu Qingyu takes the seat furthest in the back with Uncle Jun standing right beside her like a protective umbrella. I'll begin now that you're all here, said He Fei Xiang, Spirit Lord, with his powerful and overbearing voice. The seal has been lifted not long ago. That means we are no longer limited to this tiny place anymore. Prepare, all of you, we're going to be attacking the mainland. That sent Lu Qingyu into a numbing chill. It's exactly as she suspected, they're attacking. Now the only question remains, were the wording right there? They're clearing aiming for the 3 miracles. Why say they're attacking the mainland as an excuse? Father, please allow your son I to handle this matter. In the seat furthest to the front, a man stands up and makes this proposal. Despite the individual being young in appearance, quite handsome and dashing even with a face no more than 30 or 40 years old, he's in fact over a century in age. Nodding in agreement regarding his favorite son's suggestion, He Fei Xiang didn't have any objection. Very well. You will be the leading figure in our attack at the main human world. Remember, no one is allowed to live once you are over there. Slaughter them all. This order shocked the lady for the second time today. She's staring wide-eyed in horror. Sure, Lu Qingyu too had attacked the mainland before, but she never told her men to slaughter the weak and innocent. This old thing is going to kill everyone on the mainland? That's genocide. Father, isn't that too much? Gritting her teeth, the lady forces herself to make a protest despite knowing the sort of discrimination against herself. Isn't it enough to simply expel those living there when occupying the mainland? Why must we let a river of blood flow? Shut your mouth. Father does not need someone like you dictating what he does or doesn't. He Lu, the oldest son, snaps, his voice sarcastic and mocking. Besides, the inhabitants of those lands are nothing but insects in comparison to us, the denizens of the spirit realm. What right does mere pests have to share in the resources that should have rightfully belonged to us? Although the level of spiritual particulars in this small little realm were superior to the mainland, but it's still small in comparison. There's food, there's land, and there's many unexplored resources waiting to be exploited. How could He Lu endure the boring days that was the spirit realm? I am not dictating Father's decision, I'm. Lu Qingyu clenches her fist, a flash of anger permeating those eyes. However, before the lady could finish her words, an interruption was shot over in the form of a cold, snickering sneer. You're nothing but a bastard child with a different surname. How dare you talk back to me? Father's words are law, and the world has always been the survival of the fittest. Those insects are only good as a stepping stone for us. Lu Qingyu's expression flew into a rage. If she hadn't known these people wouldn't heed her words, then she might have really lost it. In the end, this lady could only retract her emotions like a stone statue to their ridicules, just like in the past. Merging of the soul for Father. She looks directly up to her own father with firm eyes. There is a girl from the mainland, the wife of the Demon King. If we massacre the lives in the human world, I fear it might provoke the demon realm in force. He Fei Xiang had a frown on his old face then. It's not like he doesn't know about this intel. In fact, he knew more than he let on to the public. For example, regarding the incident where Deet Song exterminated the former Snake clan, because of that woman, he knows about it too. However, there's not only the 3 miracles that's attractive in this spirit lord's eye, there's also many other treasures awaiting him. I am firm on this matter. There's no need for further discussion. Lu Qingyu, the matter is settled, and will be handled by your brother He Lu. Piercing her own palm with the nails, Lu Qingyu gets up from her seat with a deep look. Father, you will regret it one day for not listening to me today. Without another word, she turns and left for the outside in a decisive manner. Father, this girl is too wild. Are you just going to let her be? We must teach her a lesson. He Lu grits his teeth, curving his lips into a smirk. Teach her a lesson? Son, that can be left to a later date. The first and foremost is conquering the mainland. If you can complete that mission well, I will make you my heir. Yes, father. A flare of delight enveloped the man's eye. That's right, Lu Qingyu. I will be the heir one day, and you on the other hand can only be an insect under my feet. All right, that will be all, everyone. Go back and carry out your businesses. Waving his hand, The spirit lord dismisses the group. Yes. Cupping their fists, they complied readily and dispersed. Originally Lu was still ecstatic at his own future prospect, but that soon changed as soon as he's out the door. What are you still doing here? Huffing a grunt, he asks the woman in white. Are you really going to slaughter the humans living there? Oh, he sneers. Nothing but a group of insects. What do you care? If you don't listen to me, then don't blame me for your own destruction. Squinting her eyes in, Lu Qingyu carried a coldness in there that it's piercing. Just because you are incapable of doing something doesn't mean I will be the same as you. Lu crosses his arm around the chest, the posture taunting. If you think you are so incredible, then go seduce that demon realm's king. Maybe then father will have a new opinion about a bastard child like you. You. Flushing red, Lu Qingyu was done at this point, whisking her sleeve as she turned away. Don't drag me down with you if you're so insistent on dying. Let's not mention the part about herself being Bai Yan's servant. Even if there's not that layer of relationship, she still wouldn't dare go seduce Di Tsang. Cruel, ruthless, bloodthirsty. That's merely a couple of the words used to describe that man. Lu Qingyu had no intent of becoming the second snake girl. After walking out of the estate and out of sight, she immediately turned around to give an order. Uncle Jun, go send someone to inform the demon realm regarding this matter. Actually, forget what I said and go in person. It's already too late to send a messenger. The spirit realm is bound to perish at this rate. I must carve a path out if I must survive in this chaotic era. Merging of the Soul 5, Holy Land. At the heart of this wondrous place, Lord Chu Ran was currently feeling quite uneasy as he stared at the bronze gate in front of himself. Elder Zhengqi frisked. I keep getting this unsettling feeling recently that something bad is about to happen. The first elder heaves a sigh in return. Lord, you are overthinking this too much. The world right now is very peaceful, so don't think too much of it. I hope so. Making a bittersweet smile, Lord Chu Ran wanted to believe that. However, the unease only grew like a dark gloomy cloud hovering over his heart. Perhaps he's really jinxed it, but it's then an urgent-looking guard of the Holy Land came running over. His face showed panic and unease when kneeling. My lord, there is an old man by the name of Junhua seeing an audience with you. Junhua? It took a moment before the Holy Lord realized who this individual was, and where he's heard the name. What's going on? Why is the spy Yenner sent back to the spirit realm over here again? It can't be. Something bad is going to happen? Making a dark and glum face. Let him come in at once. Yes, my lord. The guard bowed and retreated in haste. Back over on the other side, Junhua was currently pacing back and forth outside the main gate when he suddenly realized how devoid of human presence his surroundings were. To think we have fallen to so low. A bittersweet smile curls out of the senior's lip, making him all the more sad in appearance. Despite not being favored back in the spirit realm, none would openly provoke his lady's territory, knowing how strong Lu Qingyu was. But now, a simple audience with the Holy Lord requires someone to inform the host first instead of bringing him right inside. That's a very different sort of greeting if it was in the past. Of course, the discontent was still only discontent. This old senior would never dare show it on the surface. After all, this place was Bai Yan's territory. He'd be courting death to start anything here. Minutes later, the gatekeeper returns with a tone that's more respectful than their initial meeting. Senior Jun, please head on inside. The Lord is already waiting inside. Along the way, there were countless disciples constantly peering over, their eyes extremely curious as to who this old grandpa was. Nevertheless, Junhua never met their gazes, only following closely behind the gatekeeper so that he would hurry up in the feet. Minutes later, after many twists and turns through the forest and gravel pathways, they have arrived at the central island housing Bai Yan's bamboo cottage. I remember Bai Yan had you go back to the spirit realm to act as a spy for her. Why did you return so soon? Is there something you need to say by seeking me out? Lord Chu Ran makes a frown that couldn't be missed. Hurrying over with his hand cusped into a respectful manner. Holy Lord, I came at the behest of my lady to pass on a critical message. What message? A wave of unease shook Chu Ran's heart. His worst fears are starting to come true, he could feel it. It's those people from the spirit realm. They want to attack the mainland. And this time they don't intend to leave anyone alive. Not even the civilians. Boom. The news was like a heavy hammer, smashing into the Holy Lord's heart, until it's crushed and scattered to pieces. What did you say? First Elder Zheng Qi snaps, his expression frantic as he grabbed onto the other man's collar. What kind of master do you have over there? How can he intend to slaughter everyone, and the innocents as well? Damn it. Breaking into the celestial rank 1. This world may be dictated by the old ancient rule of survival of the fittest, but no one in the upper echelons would ever issue such a callous order. There's not much other reason, simply because millions of lives are what they call weak. Murdering and slaughtering the main populace? That's absolutely crazy. Only a madman would try that. This order was issued by the Spirit Lord, and will be carried out by his eldest son He-Lu. I speculate there will likely be some celestial ranked masters coming with him, so you need to prepare. Celestial ranked? Chu Ran shuddered at the thought, his face extremely ugly. Even if the spirit realm sent a saint rank over, their 3 powers would still have trouble repelling the enemy, let alone masters 1 rank higher than that. Senior Jun, thank you for your message. Even in the face of such news, Lord Chu Ran didn't let himself fall into disarray. Slowly loosening his fist. I will let Bai Yin know about what you've done for us and nothing less. Only then did the senior release the breath that he didn't know he was holding in. For Junhua, the Holy Lord's promise was the most important, and the main purpose for him coming in person. There's no need to worry so much, Holy Lord. I have already sent someone to go inform the demon realm, and its king. I'm sure reinforcements are coming, and that they only need some time to prepare. Making a flattering smile so that he looks sincere. I'll take my leave first since it's getting late. Please begin making preparations during this period. Arching his fist, Senior Jun didn't look back and walked out of the Holy Land. Once the sight of the guest was gone, Lord Chu Ran didn't wait and narrowed his eyes in. Zheng Qi, go inform Bai Changfeng and Chief Wu Wei to come here. Let them know we must discuss the matter as soon as they can make it. As much trust he has for Bai Yin, they could never entrust the survival of everyone in this realm to another outside force. At the very least, they must organize a resistance and backup plan lest they fail in the end. Important seeds must be kept safe and planted for the future. Yes, Lord. The first elder nods, showing the concern on his old face. Perhaps this time will be the greatest our Holy Land has ever come across since its inception. The medicine sect wasn't far from the Holy Land in terms of distances. Rather, it was the misty fairy house that required some traveling. Even so, it only took 2 days before both leaders arrived at the Holy Land after being informed of the situation. They are too much. Bai Changfeng of the medicine sect slams the table with his fist, causing the structure to shatter into 2 halves. Those blasted people from the spirit realm. It's enough that they tried to claim the miracle in our hands. They also want to massacre the human world. We can't do nothing. Chief Wu Wei was more level-headed when he spoke. Did you not hear Lord Chu Ran's word just now? They say there's going to be celestial rank masters coming with the invasion. Do you think with our strength of a saint rank can resist those people? That remark instantly sniffed the life out of the old grandpa, because it's a fact, the truth. Let's not argue on this matter. Lord Chu Ran also had a worried face when he decides to join in their discussion. I've thought of this already. We do not need to defeat those that's coming. Instead, we should focus on stalling them until the reinforcements from the demon realm arrives to help us. That should be enough to secure our victory. Breaking into the celestial rank too. What solution do you have in mind, Lord Chu Ran? After stabilizing his mood, Bai Changfeng asks with a deep concern in his old voice. Gather your elite disciples and remaining elders here. We will transfer them to the Holy Island. Why? Asked the old grandpa with a perplexed look. It's because one of my forefathers left behind a protective barrier around this island here. It's able to resist the attacks of a celestial rank for several days. That should be enough time for the reinforcements to arrive. Regarding the barrier around this holy island, not even Chu Yi, daughter, was aware of it. That's how much emphasis the Holy Lord had for Bai Yin when he gave her this place. But what about the others? Bai Changfeng laments a sigh, knowing full well what it meant for the less important members. Gritting his teeth, one could literally hear the hardness in Lord Chu Ran's voice. I cannot watch over that many people, so retaining our main fighting force is the utmost importance. Only by having the seeds protected will we be able to confront those from the spirit realm in the future. Settling down to get his act together, they will have to hide at the heart of the abyss forest with those demonic beasts. Bai Changfeng and Chief Wu Wei both got it now. The man was gambling that the spirit realm wouldn't dare to openly attack the members of the demon realm. Sure, demonic beasts aren't capable of taking on human form yet. Likely never will in their lifetime here in the human world, but they are still considered part of the demon realm. If they're slaughtered as well, it's bound to start a large-scale war for the transgression. I have noticed it through that Lu Qingyu's attitude from before. They're extremely cautious of the demon realm. I've confirmed this fact from the old texts in my treasury. Demons haven't always been so weak here in the mainland. In fact, they were feared and often avoided due to the protection provided by the demon realm thousands of years ago. The situation only changed after the various realms were sealed. So, I'm betting on those people not daring to enact the same carnage they wish to carry out on us to those living in the abyss. Chu Ran carefully explains his reasoning, believing it's logical and a good choice considering the circumstances they have to work with. Very well, we will do as you say, muttered the medicine lord. However, I will need to trouble you to bring my disciples over from the medicine sect. I still have other things I must do. What's the matter? I'm going to pick up the lawn house. Making a faint smile, the medicine lord didn't bother to hide his wish. They are the only ones who didn't abandon Yenner during her time of need. For that, I must keep them safe for her sake. I cannot allow my granddaughter to lose another family member. I know this will take up more room on the island. That's why I'm willing to subtract a couple of spots from my side to accommodate that family. Chu Ran actually gawked his mouth in surprise before issuing a long sigh with his head shaking. Taking that as his way of not agreeing, Chief Wu Wei immediately grew hurried like his counterpart. If not, we can subtract some spots from my misty fairy house. The Lan family must be able to hide inside the holy island. Making a bittersweet smile of his own, Lord Chu Ran decides to stop teasing the two. Let's stop arguing. I never said I won't agree. I'm just lamenting how lucky the Lan family is. If they didn't have such a wonderful granddaughter, they might not make it through this peril. Though the face showed a willingness to help, but the eyes were that of worry. If we work fast starting from today, I'm sure we will be able to accommodate over 3,000 people on this island. As for the Lan family, there are only a few of them, they can't take up much room. The promise elevated the tenseness in the two grandfathers' posture, and even changed Bai Changfeng's former opinion of the Holy Lord. But, Chu Ran continues, in order to keep Bai Yin from being disturbed, I will still keep the surrounding area around the gate off limits to the disciples and elders. Old Lord Lan sounded hoarse and troubled in his voice. You and the children need to leave with Lord Bai. Don't worry about me. Did you not hear what he said? Me and the rest of the household will head into the abyss for refuge. The old madam huffs a grunt. Of course I heard what he said. But what makes you so certain those enemies wouldn't attack the abyss? I don't care, wherever you go I go. That statement has left the old stubborn grandfather in a bind. He wants his wife and children to be safe, but he also couldn't abandon the rest of the household to their own fate. Loyalty versus love for his family. The struggle here felt like it's tearing the poor man apart. Please listen to me first, Chief Lan, said the increasingly concerned medicine lord. Making a cough. I and the demon beasts living inside the abyss forest are on somewhat familiar terms. Since you are so adamant about keeping your followers' safety, I will personally make a request to them, asking the locals to offer shelter to your men and women. They will be safe, that you don't need to fret. There's no lie. Old Lord Lan still sounded skeptical. flashing with light in his eyes at the flicker of hope to change this stubborn old guy's mind. Bai Changfeng doubles down on the offer. If you are willing to come with me to the Holy Island, then I will keep that promise, of course. If you are not willing, well, I'm sorry, but I will have to take some drastic measures. Don't blame me afterwards. His argument sounded great and all. Heck, it's very tempting even for the average gentleman. Sadly, there are risks involved regardless of how much sugar he added to those words. What if the spirit realm invaders decide to ignore the Holy Land and go slaughter the demon beasts in the abyss for some unknown reason? So, even if he has to drag this stubborn old man along, Bai Changfeng would do it regardless of the individual's wish or will. Breaking into the celestial rank 4. Chief Lan, I know Yenner doesn't want to see you in danger. If the threat can't convince you, then I might as well directly knock you out to leave. Slowly rising from his seat, Bai Changfeng's voice carried a faint hint of threat, showing how serious he was about the matter. Old Lord Lan was completely taken aback by this picture. Twitching in the corner of his mouth, the stubborn old grandfather didn't expect this famed medicine lord to be so despicably shameless. I have also heard that your eldest grandson is currently trying to woo the current queen of the Fengqi kingdom, is he not? Although that lassie isn't one of the core disciples of the Holy Land, but with my influence, I can also get a spot on the Holy Island for her. What do you say, Chief Lan? That's a good offer on my part, isn't it? All smiles there. Bai Changfeng whipped out the carrot and the stick, leaving nothing untouched in this discussion. Almost crying in his old face, Old Lord Lan felt like a helpless kid right now in front of his own family and relatives, making a bittersweet smile in the end with obvious worry for the rest of his followers still. You're already going that far. What else can I say when it's either me being knocked unconscious or come willingly? Chief Lan, let's do this. Go speak with your people, and have them all wear the exact same uniform. This way the demon beasts living in the abyss can recognize who they are, and keep a close eye on their safety. The abyss forest is treacherously dangerous to begin with. If anything, those from the Lan family can flee with the demon beasts when the going gets tough. They should have enough room to hide in that vast stretch of land. Then I will have to bother Lord Bai to arrange this, said the stubborn old grandfather. Old Madame Lan and the rest of the family were very much relieved by the stubborn man's compliance. They honestly thought he would get stupid again and refused to leave with them. With the main goal completed, Bai Changfeng figured it's time he told the rest of the world about the impending danger and how they should head to the abyss as well for safety. The ones whom believed the news didn't hesitate and promptly packed up their luggage at the first sunrise. The quickest to move would of course be the flower brothel and the alchemists that Bai Yin helped produce. Huoluo has always been faithful to her mistress. By leading over 1,000 members under her, she led the first batch into the vast forest that made up the abyss. As for the second wave of refugees, it had to be the demon beast sect that submitted to the little steambun a while back. They are firmly in belief that the boy was their savior, and what other convincing did they need when their prize dragon was now acting all tame thanks to the boy's arrival. Unfortunately, more were of the opinion that Bai Changfeng has lost his mind due to being old and senile. It couldn't be helped. The homes, the territories, the wealth, these were all precious to the commoners and lower factions out there. Telling them to abandon everything that was their foundation merely based on a single man's words were ludicrous. Inside the bronze gate, sitting cross-legged on the ground, Bai Yin had an air of white constantly surrounding her body that's exuding a faint blue glow. Boom! Suddenly, a streak of heavy thunder rocked the whiteness in the sky before landing directly onto the woman's body. Breaking into the celestial rank 5. Like a stone sculpture sitting on the ground, she doesn't move. Boom! A flurry of lightning strikes came smashing down in succession, one stronger than the last. It wasn't until half an hour later did the trial come to a halt, and allowed the glow from her body to evaporate into the air. Because of the fact that she made the advancement inside a separate space, those outside remains unaware of her breakthrough still. Half a ring later, Bai Yin finally opens her eye, and looked around at the 4 false shadows surrounding herself. Seemingly aware of their mission being completed, the love and yearning they gave were undeniable. Even so, the shadows eventually returned to the darkness despite their unwillingness. Bai Yan's heart clenched at their departure, though she knows they do not exist in this place. But the instinct to reach out doesn't change. One day I'll reunite the four of you. Then we can fight our way back to the celestial realm. They will pay for what they've done to you all. Inhaling deeply, Bai Yan eventually rose from the floor and continued to walk further inside. It's just that her journey didn't make it more than few steps before stopping again. Not far away, a black pool of thick nauseous liquid was giving off a nasty smell into the air. It's making her uncomfortable and she didn't like it. This pool of energy. Why is there something like this here? It can't be my soul fragment mutated because of this thing? That's why it produced its own personality and wanted to devour me. Her expression gradually grew heavy, getting a strong suspicion that this dark gooey mass wasn't right. Noticing an object next to the pool, Bai Yan immediately flash-stepped to the side and got hold of the item. It's a bamboo scroll upon first glance. Alchemic recipe? When reading its content, her eyes nearly popped out from the name. Heck, even her hands were trembling with joy. 10th grade alchemic recipe, Godhood Dan pill. It's true that when Bai Yan first attempted the 8th grade pill in the Misty Fairy house, it was very difficult, mainly due to her body being unable to resist the thunder strikes from above. However, she's already at the saint rank now. Her flesh has been transformed and reborn, meaning it's very possible for her to try this recipe. 1 Godhood Dan pill, 1 celestial rank. Due to the effectiveness of the medicine, the process is extremely demanding with very difficult to procure ingredients. In addition, the alchemist's soul must also be strong, otherwise the pressure will cause permanent damage to the lower half of the body, effectively crippling the individual. Bai Yan went silent upon reading this part. I just merged with a fragment of my soul, that should be enough, right? Pausing then, she got hesitant and became unsure if this was the right move. The reason why this alchemic recipe was sealed and graded as a 10th grade formula is because it requires the strength of a celestial rank to refine. I hope that whoever can get their hands on this would use it to the benefit of the future generations. This way my efforts wouldn't be for naught and forgotten. Godhood Dan pill 1. Retracting the bamboo scroll into her storage ring, Bai Yan's sight now focuses back onto the pool in front of herself. For some reason, the image of a huge black dragon kept creeping up into her mind the more she looked at it. Not wanting to twiddle with something even she felt uncomfortable toying with, Bai Yan quickly left the premise and continued forward. It's a good thing too, because the deeper she went, the better her senses became due to the increased amount of spirit particles around the air that swept away the earlier discomfort created by that puddle of black liquid. She suddenly stops, showing shock in her eyes over the garden of herbs and rare ingredients. Incredible! There are so many rare herbs that I never thought I would ever come across. And the ingredients listed from the recipe is also here. The more Bai Yan stared at what lies in front of herself, the more excited she became. With all this, I can try making that Godhood Dan pill today. Standing not far from where she stood was a withered old tree. It's completely black in color to the point where it looked like it's been burned to a crisp, yet the surface gave off a shiny sheen like some sort of marble material. But that's not what alarmed Bai Yan the most. It's one of the dried husky leaves that dropped to the floor. On the very moment when the flimsy-looking sheet of organic material hit the ground, it instantly vaporized into a wisp of black smoke and flew towards the general direction of where the black pond was located. Understanding now. So that's why, this is the reason why that water is contaminated. It's from this tree. But why? Why is this tree doing that? I have never seen anything like this before. A lot of questions remain unanswered, but since the tree was planted by the original owner of this space, Bai Yan figured there must be a reason. Perhaps there's a use for that black pool of water even. Pity though. She's in no condition to start pursuing the matter. Gathering the herbs and ignoring her own curiosity, it didn't take long for Bai Yan to gather everything and to get the needed ingredients ready for her impending refinement session. I should do it here. If outside, the thundering strikes might just wreck my entire island. The image of her neat little cottage and lovely garden being torn to shreds didn't sit well with this control freak at all. That decided, she immediately brought out the cauldron to begin working. How funny, heaving a long sigh. Back on Earth I died because I was trying to refine a 9th grade Dan pill. And now I'm challenging something even harder and more powerful. This time I must succeed, failure is not an option. Stern and serious in her face, Bai Yin flicks a finger and ignites a fire beneath the cauldron. Then with careful precision, she uses her powers to send each ingredient mentioned on the list into the container for further processing. Across the continent making up the main body of the human world, blood was flowing and staining this landscape from top to bottom. It's a dark time right now and no one was safe as the invaders attacked in mass. For those unwilling to heed the warning, they were the first to go trying to defend their own homes. Sadly, whatever resistance they offered the attackers from the spirit realm were futile and were quickly squashed. Sir, the territory up ahead are homes to those monsters in servitude to the demon realm. Should we continue to attack? At this moment He Lu was riding atop of a magnificent-looking steed with a pronounced high lineage. This eldest son of the Spirit Lord was reveling in his glorious conquest of the human world and could care less about the obstacle up ahead. Godhood Dan Pill 2. Father's order is that no one here in these lands are allowed to live, and since these demonic beasts are living here, they too are within that range. Sir, said an old man next to He Lu, the demon as a race have always been very united against outsiders. If they learn of what we do today, it might just provoke a war between the two realms. He Lu snorts derisively at that comment. I heard the granddaughter of that medicine sect is the wife of that demon king. And didn't we attack her before? It's the same as declaring war. What does it matter if we slaughter a few demonic beasts now? The old man frowns and got more disgruntled in his face. The Spirit Lord have always been wise and intelligent. How can his son be so clueless and foolish? The two issues cannot be compared together. The denizens of the demon realm aren't stupid. No matter how prestigious a queen is, she's still only one human. We can always claim to be unaware later, and use that as an excuse. What's more, they're already at war with the celestial realm. They wouldn't want to be confronted on two different fronts. By then, we can just feign ignorance and compensate with some sort of material gift. As for the monsters here in the forest, the old man stifles a smirk to avoid showing his own disdain for others. It's well known the demon realm have issued an edict to every other realm long ago. Anyone who attacks their kin will be hunted down to the ends of the world. Consider sparing these demonic beasts as a favor to the demon king. After all, we're already going after his queen. In other words, his opinion was that the demon realm should thank them for sparing their kin, and not be infuriated for even having that idea. And, I don't intend to kill the demon queen. What do you mean by that? Narrowing his eyes in, He Lu turns to stare at the senior wearing the pine flower patterned robe. This old thing, relying on his strength as a celestial rank to defy me. He's even daring enough to refuse my orders. Even if we claim not to know of that woman being the demon queen. But what if? Pausing, the old man attempts to let his words sink in. What if the demons refuse to leave the matter be even with compensation? He Lu burst out into a sniggering laughter. It's cold and derisive as it rang across the city. So according to Elder Yuan's wording, you want us to not kill anyone from the medicine sect, Misty Fairy House, and Holy Land as well? Is that what you mean? No. The old man shook his head. The monsters are known to have a short fuse when protecting their own kin. That's true. However, when have you seen them protecting humanity? Even if the demon king pampers his own queen, the woman's relatives are only ordinary humans. We can kill them, and any other human, without having to worry about the repercussion from the act. At most, the demon king will only ask for some sort of compensation in order to satisfy his woman's need. Compared to the wealth this land provides, that's nothing. Elder Yuan, an insufferable anger fills He Lu's chest. Don't forget what my father's orders are. When carrying out the invasion, You are to assist me in my goal. So I'm telling you now, whether it be humans or demonic beasts, all must die. Red in the face, the arrogant man's spit was flying all over the senior's face when he started yelling. Stone cold without a hint of emotion now, Elder Yuan responds in a rather bland voice. If you want to go die, then you can do it on your own. We here won't accompany you into the abyss forest. You, pointing his accusing finger with grit between his teeth. Good, very good. Once we get back to the spirit realm, I will report everything to my father and have him decide. Godhood Dan Pill 3. Heavily whisking his sleeve, Lu was done with this and turned away. He knew trying to force the matter won't get him anywhere, especially when the other side was so open in dismissing his order. Due to the news of their invasion being delivered long ago, the core members of the three main powers have long gathered at the island, making up the heart of the Holy Land. It's crowded, very crowded, to the point where the occupants could hardly find room to stand around, let alone lie down to rest. Sir! Elder Yuan suddenly raises a hand after finding how eerily quiet and displaced the Holy Land appeared from the outside. What's wrong with you? Lu turned back again, his face exasperated with frustration, due to the repeated delay and insubordination. Don't you find it strange that the Holy Land is so empty? Elder Yuan says with a frown. In fact, I've noticed it along our way already. Of the many forces that has been squashed by us, many have either abandoned their homes before our arrival, or are lacking in defenders. I suspect our whereabouts have been exposed. Unlike other times when they attacked a place, they did not linger in a single area for long, only sending a couple of their subordinates to perform a massacre at the local ruler's home. Sure, in comparison to Bai Yan's strength, these grunts wouldn't pose much of a threat, but to the average cultivator and lord, they're hugely superior, and were easily overwhelmed. Just as Yuan Xiao was undecided and meditating on whether to continue, a fluctuation in the air instantly caught his senses. Those old eyes lit up as a result of this fact. There are people there. Leaning forward in an attack stance, the senior's figure instantly disappeared from sight for whatever's ahead. Lu was very ugly in the face right now after being tossed behind. Sadly, the old bones that's constantly dismissing his authority was the strongest subordinate among his group, so he could only stuff the complaint and follow. Under the effects of a hollering voice, the noisy clamoring on the island was instantly sniffed out. Yuan Xiao of the spirit realm is here for a visit. Might the hosts of the Holy Land come out to meet me? The words may be polite, but the tone was sharp and tough. So they're here. Getting up right away, Lord Chu Ran clenched his fist with a solemn expression. He could see the old figure standing up in the air staring down at him. Bai Changfeng and Chief Wu Wei weren't looking great either on their faces, because they didn't expect the spirit realm's people to come so quickly. Thankfully the preparations are complete, otherwise disaster would be today's ending. Lu and the rest arrived soon after, and when he saw Chu Ran and the others all gathered inside the island, his mouth involuntarily laughed aloud with boisterous glee. So you're all hiding in this place, ha ha ha. What? Think just because of that we can't do anything to you bunch? Someone come, slay them all. Yes, sir. At the word, a shadow from the back instantly shot out like a lightning bolt, and aimed straight for the heart of the island. Due to the immense speed he used, it's almost impossible for the individual to stop at this point even if he wanted to. Boom. That's the sound of the individual slamming into the invisible wall. The invader never expected a barrier. So not only did he suffer an incredible injury from the impact, he also ends up flying backwards from the recoiling force of his own making. Godhood Dan Pill 4. The excitement gradually seeped out of Lu's face, his eyes squinting with icy intent. What's going on here? Yuan Xiao's reply came moments later in response to that. There's a barrier seal around this island. It's blocking our access to it. Barrier? Lu snarls derisively. That subordinate of mine is already at the middle level of the saint rank. What barrier can stop him? A saint rank may not be the strongest within the spirit realm, but in this land where the strongest was only at that level, it's already an unshakable existence. Sir, there are always stronger people out there. And it's not surprising for this holy land to have some sort of barrier in place either. Focusing his attention back onto the island after that explanation, the senior takes a step forward. I will go test the barrier for myself. Boom! Throwing a punch that's been infused with a sizable chunk of his own powers. Yuan Xiao only wanted to assess the level of resistance from the attack. However, the repelling force completely took him by surprise, knocking the poor elder back several steps and leaving a trickle of blood coming out of his mouth. Lu should have been worried at the sight, but of course, he's a small man with a very small heart. Without so much as a word of comfort or inquiry, he started to sneer and clicked his tongue in contempt. Elder Yuan, can you do it or what? I thought you were strong. That's why I brought you along. Who could have thought that you would be so incompetent that a simple barrier can stop you? The old senior was injured to begin with from that recoil. Therefore the words were extremely effective in causing further damage. If Yuan Xiao hadn't experienced so much in life, he would have already started to puke blood from those damnable words. Inhaling deeply and ignoring the ignorant fool. Everyone of the celestial rank and higher, come to my side and assist me in breaking this barrier. At the drop of that order, several powerful individuals immediately stepped forward from the group, their eyes cold and stern when standing next to their leader. The following attacks were fierce. Though the barrier continued to hold under this bombardment, the people inside were definitely feeling the tremors as a result. Lord Chu ran, nothing will happen, right? Asked the medicine lord with a concerned voice. Twitching in the corner of his mouth, the Holy Lord attempts to reassure his peers while also reassuring himself. What else can happen? This barrier seal is something my forefathers left behind, so it shouldn't fail. Of course, there's no way to confirm that belief right now since it's been ages since the seal has been activated. Maybe it's been damaged in some way due to wear and tear? Father. Chuyi shrinks her neck in while clinging to her old man's back. It's obvious the princess of this holy land had some doubt based on her demeanor. Are you sure this barrier is reliable? Why do I feel like your words are not believable? Coughing awkwardly at being pointed out. Although this barrier won't last forever, it should be adequate until reinforcement arrives. Don't worry, it will hold. Unfortunately, the next quake from the impacting blows came as soon as those words left this mouth, further destroying the credibility of that statement. Who's he kidding? It's a direct slap across the face. Embarrassed and spluttering now. It's going to be all right, nothing's going to happen. Boom. This time even waves had started to rack up along the water's surface, causing many standing to falter and stumble. No matter how much Lord Chu Ran attempts to soothe himself, it's too much. Turning to look at those celestial rank masters, he's pale and anxious in the face. Dramatic breakthrough 1. Chuyi just couldn't help but twitch in the corner of her mouth over her old man's expression. It's not reliable. And the consequences of such a blunder would mean a long river of blood today on this island. Lord Chu Ran, do you feel it? It's then by Chong Feng of the medicine sect spoke from the rear, the grandpa's face showing heaviness on the surface. This question startled the Holy Lord, but his furrowed brow quickly turned to amazement after he sensed it as well. Why is the spirit particles in the air so much stronger than before? Under normal circumstances, Lord Chu Ran would have long noticed this drastic change in the air, if his attention wasn't so focused on the attackers outside the barrier. This wasn't normal, heck. It's at the level of shocking even. That's how dense the air felt around them. Fast. Quickly cultivate. After his initial shock, he immediately commanded. This must be Bai Yan's doing inside the miracle. We must take advantage of this, and train while it lasts. Not saying another word, the Holy Lord immediately got to the floor, and went into a meditative pose, allowing his skin and pores to take in all of the energy floating around the air. Others also followed suit after seeing this. Naturally, the improvements in this amazing opportunity would depend entirely on their own efforts. But it's going to be high when the air was so thick with energy. Meanwhile, back outside the barrier, Yuan Xiao and his fellow attackers were flabbergasted by the actions of those inside. It didn't make sense why someone would start training in a time like this, when their lives are about to be sniffled out. These people, did they go mad because of fear, Haha. Lu almost fell into tears from his own laughter. It's mocking and disgusting. Do they really think a few minutes or hours of training is going to make up the difference? We have several celestial rank cultivators here. They must be truly desperate that any idea is a good one now. Swoosh, but the ignorant and foolish are always going to be taught why they are wrong. Right as he's thrown the mockery out there, a gusting storm promptly gathered above their heads, shocking and causing Lu to pop his eyes out in disbelief. Isn't this a bit ridiculous and easy? How can they make a breakthrough on the last minute? Then before their eyes could register this reality, a series of beaming pillars of lights rose from several individuals from within the barrier, showering the world in a rainbow assortment of colors. What's going on here? Grim in his face, Yuan Xiu asked his men with a tense pace in his breath. If it was only a single person, then it can still be a coincidence. But there's so many at once. It can't be, this holy land still has a trump card up its sleeve. Back over in the heart of this lake island, those who are trying to make a breakthrough, this includes many of the disciples and elders, had automatically blocked off the noises from the outside world. They're urgently trying to advance, and didn't want anything getting in the way of their focus. Of the many who are doing so, the first to come out of the trance-like state was by Chang Feng of the medicine sect. The old grandpa appeared mighty sharp in that moment when he opened his old eyes. Dramatic breakthrough too. The old leader of the medicine sect was already on the brink of hitting the limit on what a monarch rank cultivator could reach thanks to the essence he got from Bai Yin. But now, through the help of this dense level of spirit particles, he's able to exceed his limit and directly hit the saint rank in one go. Lord Chu Ran and Chief Wu Wei were both getting anxious, of course, after witnessing the old bastard's achievement in one-upping themselves. They've been competing all their life. There's no way the other two are going to let one get ahead of the other. Lu literally wanted to slap himself at this point after witnessing that scene. Elder Yuan, what is wrong with these people? Why are they making a breakthrough now and not another day? This is unrealistic. Incredulous very apparent in his voice. Damn it! What is going on here? This can't be right. As if reading the arrogant man's thought, Lord Chu Ran and Chief Wu Wei also made a breakthrough just then, causing a flurry of storms to form above their heads. It's huge. Easily enough to call this phenomenon a typhoon, because trees on the ground were quickly being ripped upwards and bouldering rocks flew away like little pebbles. Sir, if my guess is not wrong, someone must have opened up the miracle already. After some speculation, Yuan Xiu echoed out some of what the other celestial realm masters were thinking. Those people must be tapping into that power and using it to their advantage. Showing horror in his eyes, Lu flew into a rage. Who dares? How dare they touch the power in there without permission? Though the Spirit Lord didn't openly relay the truth to the public regarding their main objective, but since this force was in charge of the invasion, it's normal for Yuan Xiu and the eldest son to know of the goal. What they didn't expect, though, was someone making a move for the treasure ahead of themselves today. Waste, this is a true waste of such treasure. If their breakthroughs are the result of the miracles, then it can only mean the power will diminish for every person that uses it. Damn these insects. How dare they use what rightfully belongs to us? Yuan Xiu exclaims, aching in the heart over the sight as well. In other words, only by using it on themselves from the spirit realm would said resource not be tarnished and wasted. What's the use of you saying so much now? Lu sounded distressed and grits his teeth. Hurry and go break the seal before it's too late. Kill them all before they stain what belongs to us. Since he's the eldest son of the Spirit Lord, a very likely candidate of becoming the next ruler of the spirit realm, Lu firmly believes everything in the human world now belongs to him. So, how could he not get angry when others are defiling his property? Boom! Under the combined assault of these celestial rank cultivators, a crack has begun to form across the surface of the barrier. Naturally, the sight elated the invaders once they realized the effectiveness of their attacks. If it is 100 years ago, maybe then we wouldn't be able to break this thing. Too bad for those inside, it's degraded after so long. Everyone, muster every ounce of strength you have left, we're almost there. A couple of more hits should do it. Combing his snow-white beard with his finger, Yuan Xiao sounded very pleased with the results, and firmly threw another punch with the fist. More cracks appeared again like the senior claimed, indicating the barrier would soon give like shattered glass, if nothing was done from the inside. Lord Chu ran. Furrowing, by Chang Feng of the medicine sect mutters in a low-pitched voice in order to not alarm the nearby disciples. I believe the barrier won't last very long at this rate. We must look for another way. Chu Ran shook his head, that smile bittersweet in understanding. I know what you mean, but this is already my last trump card. There's no other plan in place. Dramatic breakthrough 3. Chief Wu Wei's expression didn't look so well after hearing that. Shooting a glare at the Holy Lord. If I had known you are this useless, then I wouldn't have allowed the Lan family members to be placed here. They might as well have gone to the Abyss Forest instead. That would have been more secure. If they are killed because of our mistake, then how am I supposed to explain it? Yenner's face? Yun Feng, by Yan's father, was also present to hear all this. Though the man didn't speak, his own frown was very deep on that handsome face. I still haven't found my wife yet, so I can't die in a place like this. At the very least, not until Ninger comes back. Exactly then, a huge rumbling roar interrupts their bickering from the foot of the mountain. It's powerful and frightening, causing everyone to involuntarily shudder from their hearts out. Leading the charging horde were two individuals, a majestic white tiger with a king word on its forehead, and a young mischievous girl that rode on its back. The tiger was none other than Little Rice, the rascal of a glutton that has always been by the little steambun's side, while the girl was none other than Di Xiaowan, the demon princess. He Lu instinctively took a step back while that face showed dismay. Elder Yuan, what is going on here? Although this arrogant lord of the spirit realm said he's not afraid of the demon realm's power, but when confronted with the ferocious-looking white tiger and the thousands of monsters at its back, his true feelings immediately leaked. He's gulping, and he's terribly pale in the face. And as if that presentation wasn't enough to scare the daylights out of the invaders, a booming thunder suddenly rocked the sky, and in descended a beautiful blue dragon of immense size. Its body was very thin like a fair maiden's, yet the aura this creature gave off demanded respect and awe when met. Of course, a single dragon couldn't be called a grand entrance now, would it? After the first descended, hundreds more quickly followed, making it into a small horde of pure dragons instead of a mishmash of various demonic beasts. Di Xiaowan, Chu Yi needed no effort to recognize her friend's presence that's riding the white tiger's back, ripping into her old man's sleeve with excitement in that voice. Father, quick, withdraw the barrier. Tied between listening and following his instinct, Lord Chu Ran had to spell out the doubt outwardly. You really want to withdraw the barrier, Yi? Di Xiaowan is Di Tsong's sister. The girl's words instantly silenced her old man this time. Who's Di Tsong? He's the king of the entire demon realm, the lord and master of all demonic beasts under his rule. Mustering a force in the range of millions was no exaggeration, and he's seen firsthand how quickly that man could call upon that power in the Misty Fairy House. Chief Wu Wei of the Misty Fairy House didn't need no urging either, exclaiming in excitement at the news of reinforcement. Fast, quickly withdraw the barrier. Rescue is here. Unexpectedly though, once the barrier around the island was withdrawn, the dense rich spirit particles around the area didn't disperse around the surrounding environment, and kept hovering above their heads. Grayer. Little Rice released a shockwave of a roar as he rushed for Chu Yi's location. Perhaps it's the new and enlarged look of the little glutton's appearance, but the girl in question apparently didn't recognize who the tiger was, and just stood there frightened and cluelessly. Then again, Little Rice's ferocious appearance did strike fear into the masses. Careful! Chu Ran exclaims in great fright over his daughter's safety. Dramatic breakthrough 4. To no avail. The distance between the two were just too close for the girl's father to act. Before Lord Chu Ran could take action to protect his own daughter, the tiger's body was already in front of the girl's face. Why is this tiger attacking me? I didn't do anything. All frantic and confused, the Holy Land's princess kept asking herself in that frozen state. That was until a warm and icky feeling overcame her woes and knocked her out of that sluggish state. You! Blinking in dismay as she rubbed her slobbered cheek free of that saliva, Chuyi stared in wide eye at the white tiger wagging its tail. Your little rice. After a good while of examination and disbelief, the princess eventually came to terms inwardly that this giant of a ferocious feline was indeed the very same cute pet that has always been by Yan's side. The main issue was that murderous aura and powerful muscle. It's nothing like the previous version. Continuing to wag his tail. I've grown up now, so of course you don't recognize me. Anyways, where's my mistress? Why isn't she here? I've missed her to death. Little Rice? Eyes of all those present were now firmly locked onto the huge tiger's body, their faces showing incredulous and disbelief. This big guy is Little Rice? How come he's grown so much in only a few short months? Lord Chu Ran asks with surprise still apparent in his voice. Puckering his lips to one side, the glutton of a tiger explains like a little baby. That's because my strength has increased, so of course my body will also grow bigger. This new me is my real form. Lamenting a sigh, Chuyi finds this truth to be a real shame and pats the tiger's head. I prefer your former smaller self, it's much lovelier. The way you are right now is too scary. Scary is good. That way those dirty whores will stop coming to make trouble for my mistress. Huffing a snort, Little Rice was all grumpy at the very thought of those women who made trouble for them before. Lan Xiaoyan is here as well. Recognizing her other friend from among the crowd, the demon princess lights up in the face and ran over to pat the girl's shoulder. It's been a while, Xiaoyan. How have you been? It's true that they haven't seen each other for a while now. The last time would be at the medicine sect, and since then their squad of earth-shattering triple threes been separated till this day. Are you a demon? Asked Lan Xiaoyan with curious eyes at her friend. No wonder, this explains it all on why Xiaochen can command all those demon beasts. His old man's the boss of the demon realm. That means Bai Yan won't be harmed by anyone anymore. If I am not wrong, you are the princess of the demon realm? Yuan Xiao of the spirit realm suddenly asks from the enemy's line. Huffing a grunt, Di Xiaowan didn't give the old senior any face. You old thing got a lot of nerve, touching my sister-in-law's relatives. Just wait until my brother comes, he will definitely make you all suffer defeat. Changing in his face over that remark, Yuan Xiao thought the princess was absolutely crazy. However, regardless of his own dissent and dissatisfaction, he's not blatant enough to openly display the feelings inside of himself. Princess, this is a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding. The senior wanted to make a few more excuses, but his efforts were in vain because the arrogant and pompous He Lu had become infuriated over that previous comment. Nothing but a princess of the demon realm. How dare you flaunt in front of the prestigious me? If you touch so much as a single one of us here, we of the spirit realm will immediately take allegiance to the celestial realm. By then it will be on two fronts that your forces have to contend with. It's over for you animals. Reddening from her own brewing anger, Di Xiaowan grinds her teeth as she spoke indignantly. Little Rice, go bite him to death. Dramatic breakthrough 5. Don't assume just because Little Rice's figure was relatively large that he couldn't move fast. He's not. Like a lightning bolt, he pounced for He Lu's annoying face in an attempt to bite at the man. Yuan Xiao was in big shock at the sudden attack, of course, even if he disliked this master of his, but the man was still the Spirit Lord's only son. As such, he could only hurry over in time to take the hit. Bang! Fangs piercing his shoulder. Blood promptly dyed the old senior's cloth in red. This tiger is a celestial rank, he exclaims with a sharp breath over the stinging pain. Elder Yuan, no matter how strong this white tiger is, he's only one individual. Look at us, we have over 5 on our side. What are you being afraid of for? He Lu sneered at the sight, holding no care for the fact that the old senior suffered damage in his stead, due to the words he spouted. In response, the blue dragon in the sky roared again after that comment, her figure gradually transforming into a slim, beautiful young lady. Now not even the arrogant man of the spirit realm could remain unfazed anymore. With every step taken by Tsingyi from the air, his complexion would grow whiter like an oppressive beast staring down at its prey. You're wrong. It's not just White Tiger who is at the celestial rank. I too have broken through before coming. As for the part about having more forces, cocking a smirk that could stir hearts, I think our forces of 100,000 is more than enough to contend with the likes of you here. Don't you agree? Squinting his eyes in, Lu didn't expect this dragon to be a celestial rank too. But, so what if this dragon is a celestial rank? I brought over 5 in total. Elder Yuan, we've already offended the demon realm anyways. There's no need to hold back here, kill them all. Once we've done that, we can immediately split into the celestial realm. Not like these animals can go up against that power. They're the celestial realm's underdog to begin with, plus they've fallen for over 1,000 years. There's no way they can be an opponent. Yuan Xiu sighs heavily. It seems that is the only option left for us. Princess of the demon realm, don't blame us for being ruthless. It's your side who is being a nosy body. Grower. Little Rice grows menacingly. Quit yapping so much nonsense. Even if you bunch don't move, I will still tear you all to pieces today. At that, his claws promptly swept at the old senior's face again. Yuan Xiu didn't want to take another hit like earlier, of course, and resisted the attack, with his sword this time around. Sadly, it not only didn't deflect the swipe, it ended up being slashed into 2 by the little glutton's claw. Understanding the situation wasn't faring well for their leader, the other celestial rank masters immediately took action and attacked from the side. Tsingyi wasn't going to sit idly from one side after seeing this either. So brandishing her own green blade, she joins in on the fray from her angle. However, unlike the others who had been at this stage for a long time, the lady was still new to this level of combat, and could only do so much with her dance of emerald lethality. Little Rice, I can't hold these people for long. Hurry and finish that old thing, and come help me. She yells after deflecting one of the slashes from her foe. The little glutton naturally wouldn't relax right now, pressing his claw harder against the remaining half of Yuan Xiu's blade. They soon heard a sharp cracking sound, and the last bit of that sword was shattered, leaving only the handle behind. Dramatic breakthrough 6. Under a loud impacting blow, a huge pit was firmly pressed out of the ground from where Yuan Xiu stood just seconds ago before he dodged backwards. Even so, the trickle of sweat coming out of the senior's forehead gave evidence of how unnerved he felt over that swipe. That would have crushed me if I didn't jump back in time. Not letting up, Little Rice rushes up again after the first failure. This time though, he's not going to let his slap miss. And sure enough, it hit and sent the old fella spinning with stars flashing across the eye. Quit playing with him, Little Rice. I need your help. And these people just won't die no matter how many times I beat them down. Turning around, Tsingyi screams with urgency in her voice after smacking another one of her opponents away. This finally stopped the playful tiger from toying with his foe like a cat, speaking in a contemptuous manner. So what if you had reached the celestial rank before me? Us demons are inherently more powerful than humans of the same level. That means I can whip your ass single-handedly by myself. Dashing over like a lightning bolt, his huge body once again slammed against Yuan Xiu from the back, and causes the senior to go tumbling forward until he smashed into the huge peach tree up ahead. Sir, run. Hurry and run away. Fear very apparent in his old eyes now, Yuan Xiu screams for the arrogant man to flee. Naturally, of course, Lu needed no urging on a matter like this. After all, it's his own life that's on the line. Unfortunately for him though, the man didn't make it very far before being surrounded by the demonic beasts that came with the horde. Bump, 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 bump. As if impressed by Little Rice's playful heart, the rest of the demons began tossing the guy around like a soccer ball. First was a cheetah back kicking the fella in the butt. Then came a rhino that literally horn slapped the guy in the ribs, so he would fall into the mud. It's humiliating and painful, nevertheless non-lethal. For those from the spirit realm, these people wanted to rescue the young lord upon witnessing the humiliation. Sadly, With as much as tens of thousands of demons surrounding their path, it was futile. Before long, they too had become nothing but food or lumps of flesh when the fangs and claws shred into their existence. Lord Chu Ran reacted immediately there, and covered his own daughter's eyes with one hand. This is not something for a little girl to see. Close your eyes and turn away. Chu Yi didn't agree with her old man's opinion though. Brushing the obstruction away, she gave the protective father a warning stare before running off to Di Xiaowan's side in the front. The two were looking at the gory mess with delighted fascination, a clear sign of intrigue. This nearly brought the Holy Lord to tears as his face turned grimfully dark. Why do I get the feeling my daughter is really into this kind of stuff? No, this won't do. A girl only needs to stay at home. She shouldn't be at the forefront in the center of battle. Umumph. Puking out a mouthful of blood after coming back to his senses, Yuan Xiu felt desperate and deeply in pain over Helu's pitiful state of becoming a soccer ball. You can't hurt him. He's the future lord of our spirit realm. Exasperated in his voice, the senior cries out with an increasingly flushed face. Let him go this instant. Tilting his head in confusion, Little Rice sounded perplexed by that statement and commented, "What's so great about that deadbeat? If he was in the demon realm, he'd be the type that would be killed within 3 days. Demons believe in strength, and for those that lack it, they're no better than garbage that's tossed aside." Refinement Success 1. And Little Rice cocks a hair-raising grin. Your soul looks pretty yummy, can I eat your soul? His meaning was very simple. Your soul looks like a delicious dish, so can I eat you? PFFFF. Spewing blood from the damnable question, Yuan Xiu became blinded by anger and threw himself at the white tiger. The following punch contained everything he's had. In fact, the air whistled against the swing like it contained infinite power. You all deserve to die. With this roar, the old senior promptly came before Little Rice's face as he slammed that fist of a punch into that furry flesh. Boom! This had the direct effect of sending the little glutton back several feet. Sadly, it was for not once the tiger locked eyes on the senior. It's mocking and poking at the foe for fun. There's good reason for that sort of reaction, in which he showed of course. Little Rice could tell that the punch contained everything the old grandpa had. And based on the following exhausted and near-collapsing look from Yuan Xiu, it's clear who's won now. Licking his paw, the little glutton slowly came before the prey and swiped down again for the 3rd time. Unlike before though, it made a direct slash across that chest and allowed his claws to cut out the heart from within. No word of resistance came from Yuan Xiu when he met his end. Simply said, the old man was at the last straw even before the final strike. With his heart gone, what remains were a lifeless corpse that has had its last strand of life ripped from within, leaving the blood to freely flow forward and staining the dirt. Then, as if pleased with his own deed, Little Rice went ahead to swipe again with his paw at the air above the corpse. This time around though, a transparent mass like that of souls seems to be ripped out from within. The remaining 4 celestial ranked masters didn't miss this sight despite contending with Qing Yi at the time. Immediately, all of them felt a frightening chill running through their spines and made their faces shower with fear. He actually ripped a human soul out? This is too atrocious. Exchanging looks between themselves, all 4 promptly abandoned their fight with the dragoness and made a turn for the original direction in which they came from. As for the demon beasts that wanted to block them, they were instantly turned to mincemeat under their sword's might. This infuriated Little Rice the moment he turned around in response to the sound. He couldn't accept the fact that someone would dare make a killing of his kind before his face, hence the quick retaliation. And since it's him and the dragoness combining forces, the job of subduing the 4 were easily completed without fail. You humans have a lot of courage, daring to go against us demons. Your crime is unforgivable. Flicking his claw, the sharp nail of the tiger easily sliced through one of the man's throat and created an opening for that pure red fluid to seep into ground. Of course, Little Rice didn't let go of the man's soul either. No matter what the individual was of the celestial rank, it's a great compliment to his own growth. After that, Qing Yi also finished off her targets in succession and brought their souls before the gluttonous tiger. Here's your tonic. Not being polite, Little Rice picks them up and swallowed the souls whole in one huge gulp. Note: tonic in Chinese doesn't exactly mean the same as the English word. Think of it as a booster that doesn't matter if it's a liquid or solid, or soul in this case. In the beginning it was Song who forced the fella to ingest his first soul, and felt very disgusted by the feeling. However, he soon discovered the benefits of ingesting others' soul, and quickly adapted to the new form of intake. Refinement success 2. Now without Song's coercion, Little Rice would automatically look for souls to consume. How come I feel like this tiger has changed in some way? Lord Chu Ran of the Holy Land instinctively twitched in the corner of his mouth, after seeing how much the fella was enjoying that soul. It's not like the Holy Lord was overthinking the matter. Prior to Little Rice's huge growth, the guy wouldn't even touch raw meat, let alone eat a human soul. Thankfully the glutton could distinguish between friend and foe, making the matter unimportant. Little Rice, you go drag that whatever master of the spirit realm over to me. Di Xiaowan commands with her chin cocked in the air. Giving a proper howl, the tiger quickly rushed in front of He Lu's unconscious self, and bit down at the arm, dragging him over to the princess using this manner. As a result of that rough treatment, a trail of blood was left soaking in the dirt. Pay! Sounding disgusted by the taste, Little Rice tosses the sack of meat from his mouth. Di Xiaowan very much agrees with her friend's assessment of this person. To add her own scent in there, she stomps down at the rib and causes immense pain from the injured, until he woke up in a flail. Hurry and save me, Elder Yuan. He cries out with urgency after coming back to reality. Snorting at the outcry, Little Rice blows an unhappy grunt from his nose. Quit crying. That old thing is dead, and his soul has become my food, so no one is going to come save you. Elder Yuan is dead? Impossible. He is a celestial rank cultivator. Even if he isn't a genuine one, that advanced through his own means, and was done by Father himself using the secret arts. But the old fart is still equal to that level. How can he die so easily? You're lying. Elder Yuan cannot have died. Plus there are others from the spirit realm. They will save me. In a panic, He Lu shouted the only thought that came to mind. Little did he know that the next remark from the other side would send him down into hell itself. If you don't believe us, then look over there. Their remaining carcasses are stacked into a mound. It's just right behind yourself. Little Rice cruelly points to the scene in front with his body gesture. Almost like a robot, He Lu mechanically swings his head around as instructed. In a flash, the picture of countless roughly consumed body parts was displayed before his very eyes. It's heart-wrenching and painful for the once arrogant man. Of course, it's not like He Lu had any sort of compassion for his former subordinates. It's because he knew what this implied for his own fate. It's not looking good, and he's a coward that doesn't want to die. No! Despair fills him as he cried the word out, tears slowly trickling down that fear-stricken face. Weren't you being very arrogant just now about slaughtering the demon realm? Di Xiaowan casts a ridiculing smirk at the despairing man. I'll give you a chance now to kill me. That's if you dare. A shudder completely overtakes He Lu, turning his gaze upward at the smiling princess. An unnerving chill runs through his spine until it reaches into the heart. Kill her. Quit joking. If I so much as make a single move, then that tiger will rip into me and swallow me whole. Your Highness, I was blind and stupid, please spare me. Biting his lip, the once proud young master of the spirit realm began to bang his head against the dirty ground. Due to the injury he sustained, plus the amount of force he's using there, blood quickly began to come out of his forehead, and making him look all the more miserable. Refinement success 3. There's irony in the demon princess eye as she spoke. How stupid can you be? Attacking my sister-in-law while my brother is away. That's how you ask for mercy? If I let you go now, then the one to die next is me. If brother finds out I let the one behind the attack leave unscathed, then he will break my body. So for my own life and to cover my own ass, I must make these people pay. At the thought of covering her own hide, Di Xiaowan promptly swung her face around with the sweetest smile. Dear grandpas, everything is all right now. I've solved the main issue already. I bet you're all still very scared, so go ahead and rest. I will have the bunch here cleaned up with my men. Relaxing in his expression over that comment, Bai Changfeng gives his own beard a comb, before speaking in an appeased manner. How come your brother didn't come with you? That, he went into the secret domain in search of Xiachen. Now I am in charge of watching over the demon realm, and protecting sister-in-law. Scanning her surrounding after that reply, the princess was quickly deflated after not finding the familiar figure in which she sought. Where's my sister-in-law? Bai Changfeng falters for a second. She's inside the miracle. That answer actually made the sack of meat on the floor look up right away. Lu had his suspicion that someone has taken the miracle prior to their arrival. Now it just confirms the idea, and indicated their spirit realm no longer has a chance for the treasure. Understanding that much, the once arrogant man hangs his head low again, not wanting to attract further attention from Di Xiaowan or anyone for that matter. Then I'll stay here and wait for her until she comes out again. I can't risk having other idiots coming to make trouble for sister-in-law while she's inside. Reminded by her own words, the demon princess promptly glared down at the sack of meat with menacing eyes. Little Rice, Xing Yi, shred this bastard into pieces for me. I don't want to see him ever again. Lu nearly peed himself as he shot his face upwards in horror. No! But before the man could cry out his objection, a paw had already come swinging over and sent him flying out. Then before that spinning figure could make an impact from being thrown so far, a white blurry flash had come before his face and pierced into the chest where the Dantian core was located. Clack, with his core shattered, Lu was no different from an average person at this point. It's equivalent to a death sentence anyways, if there are no others to protect him forward. Along the way I saw the aftermath of what these thugs from the spirit realm did. They slaughtered thousands, including children and women. Although we managed to solve the crisis and save many, but the dead and wounded won't change. I bet they would love to tear into these criminals who committed the heinous crime of taking their loved ones away, far more than whatever we can do to them. Little Rice suggests after his act of crippling the prey, it's not that the tiger had a heart of gold, rather he's just not interested in anyone not of the celestial rank. The soul wasn't going to help his growth, and the flesh on this bastard wouldn't taste good either. Okay, Di Xiaowan nods, then watch over him carefully. I don't want those from the spirit realm coming over to rescue him when we're not noticing. No problem, leave this matter to me. Patting his furry chest, Little Rice proudly proclaims his assurance and bit down at the man's leg. His treatment was rough and uncaring when dragging the bastard away. It has to be said though, this Lu sure has a strong level of endurance in that body of his. Even after losing so much blood he's still alive. Singy Dragoness, you go too. All smiles, the princess pricks her brow like she's thought of something sneaky. I alone am enough while waiting for sister-in-law. Truth was, the girl wants to be the first one to welcome Bai Yen when she comes out of the miracle. This way her image would rise another notch. And that meant more leverage when asking for help against that mean old brother of hers. Refinement success 4. Xingyi wasn't like the gullible Little Rice. She could easily see through the princess's intent. Smiling there. All right. With the two leading general of their horde gone, the remainders had also stopped in their tearing of the dead bodies and came before Di Xiaowan for further instruction. As for you all, stroking her chin in a contemplative manner, go patrol the area around the Holy Land. We've captured the young master of the spirit realm, so that side wouldn't do nothing. If any of you find sighting of the enemy, come inform me immediately. Yes, the horde answers in unison, causing an instantaneous shockwave to rock this land. Fortunately, the crowds of demonic beasts were willing to leave right after giving their reply. Otherwise, the residences here would be quite afraid for their own lives. Furthermore, it appears this other side of the demon princess has won over many of the male disciples present. Their eyes showed admiration and a sense of love towards the girl. Princess. Finally, A handsome young man decides to muster up his courage to come forward. Shy in his voice. Thank you today for the help. May I invite you for a meal tonight? Sparkling in her eyes now. Di Xiaowan didn't think anything wrong of this idea and responded in kind. What would you like to eat? The young lad gives a shy nod to act all gentlemanlike. There is a restaurant outside the Holy Land in the city below. We can try their medicinal stewed chicken. I heard it's very delicious and is often crowded with patrons. I know the owner, so I can help us skip the line and directly take you inside. Now the princess's eyes were shining like the sun. She has always been a victim of delicious food, so it's her one irresistible weakness. So when are we leaving? She had on a look of urgency and anticipation, which brought hope to the lad's face. Others who had similar ideas were quite envious of their peer right now. If they had known it would be this easy to invite the girl out for a date, then they too would have stepped forward. In the end, it's cowardice that caused them to miss this opportunity. Feng Xiaoling, what are you trying to do? Chui Yi saw how easily the sweet Dumbaklutz was being kidnapped away and decides to step in. I warn you, don't hit on her, or I'll let my father know and kick you out of the Holy Land right now. That warning worked as expected and stopped the one known as Feng Xiaoling in his tracks. The poor lad was trembling and didn't dare to speak another word. And you, Di Xiaowan? Chui Yi had wanted to start reprimanding her friend when Lord Chu Ran suddenly tugged at his own daughter's sleeve, making a dry cough. Yi, she is the princess of the demon realm, and Bai Yan's her sister-in-law you. But before the Holy Lord could even finish his sentence, the heated girl had brushed the hand away and continued to stare angrily at her friend. It's the look of someone being harsh and disappointed. Just because he asked you doesn't mean you should say yes. Do you know what he intends to do? When strange men come near you, the first thing you should do is to distance yourself lest they kidnap you with some food. Giving a harumph, the one known as the Little Witch just turned into the protective mother hen of their group. That comment completely scared the daylights out of Lord Chu Ran. If he didn't know the identity of the sweet Dumbaklutz, then it would still be fine. But he did, and that meant precaution was of the utmost importance here. Shame though. If only the man knew of the past, then he would have passed out right then and there. The reasoning? Back when the two girls met, they had fought against each other. What are you being angry with? Staring blankly at her old man's steaming face, the girl apparently didn't understand what she did wrong and went back to her friend. I'll go with you instead. What do you want to eat? Don't forget, we're the earth-shattering 333. If you're going anywhere, then it's with us. Earth-shattering 333? Chu Ran shot a disbelieving stare at his own daughter's back. Why does this title sound so appalling? Refinement success 5. Okay. All gleeful in her eyes, Di Xiaowan happily answers. I want to eat that herb chicken pot he mentioned. When presented delicious food, the princess would be willing to endure anything coming out of her snappy-mouthed friend. Heck, the girl even forgot about her initial scheme of being the first to welcome Bai Yan once she's out again. That's how much she loves eating. But I still miss the pastry shop you took me back in the Lu Hua Kingdom the most. When are we going back there? Biting her finger, Di Xiaowan just couldn't find anything remotely as good as that establishment. There will be opportunities in the future. Grabbing her demon friend, Chui Yi then dragged out Lan Xiaoyan before flying themselves out of the Holy Land for the nearest city. Chu Ran watched this entirely from the back and had on a dull face. Why do I have a sensation that something bad is going to happen? Bai Chong Feng of the medicine sect also had the same idea, just that the old bearded grandpa didn't want to say it aloud. Chu Ran may not know it, but he clearly did regarding the level of damage Di Xiao one could produce simply by herself. It's not lacking in comparison to the Little Witch of the Holy Land, and together they form a danger of unprecedented level. Di Xiaowan is the demon realm's princess. Nothing will happen, so stop worrying. Despite his true feelings, the medicine lord decides to go against his own consciousness and not warn his counterpart. Instead, he starts throwing comforting words like it's no problem, knowing full well the sort of mess awaiting the poor guy. Relieved after hearing the lie, that's good then. Every time Yi leaves my line of sight, She will always become a nuisance to every place she visits. Now I don't even dare to let her get that far away from me. At least there's the Demon Realm's princess with her. They shouldn't make any trouble during their venture. Now that things have been resolved, everyone should disperse as well. But remember what the demon princess said. There may be people from the spirit realm coming to investigate since their young lord is captured. Best stay here in the Holy Land for the next while. I will have my people prepare the rooms. Showing a frank smile, Chu Ran offers the idea to the others after returning to his old self. The crowd naturally knew what the Holy Lord was worried about. So, the offer was quickly accepted by everyone. Chief Lan, by Chang Feng of the medicine sect, turns his attention to the other grandpa. Now that we don't need to hide on this holy island anymore, do you want me to send for the remainder of the Lan house from the abyss? That would be wonderful. The stubborn old grandfather happily obliges. Thank you, Lord Bai. Haha, don't thank me. This is what I should do for the favors your family gave Yenner. Bellowing out a laugh, the medicine lord tries to smother his own sense of worry with a happy facade. I just don't know when Yenner will come back out. Suddenly, all eyes are focused back on the bronze gate nearby. There's a hint of expectation in those irises, likely regarding the level of growth that would come of her return. At the same time, within the pocket dimension, thundering lightning poured down like raindrops, covering and pounding away at Bai Yan's frail-looking body. It's incredibly frightening due to how massive the shockwave was from each blast. However, the height of this trial hasn't even begun to reach its peak. This was just the beginning. Boom! A gigantic bolt of thunder suddenly boomed down at the cauldron, its appearance like that of an ancient serpent trying to devour whatever it struck. Good thing my cauldron is made out of a special material. Otherwise that blast just now would have shattered it to pieces. One pill, one celestial, one boom. It's unsure how long it's been since the last lightning strike hit her, but Bai Yin never once moved her eyes away from the shaky cauldron. Its extremadal the refinement goes through smoothly during this period. If so much as a single mistake happens right now, the entire batch would be ruined, and she would have to start over. Minutes later, hours later, soon a faint fragrance could be found exuding out from the crack between the lid and the main container. Bai Yan's eyes lit up upon getting a whiff of the scent. Hurrying to remove the lid, she looks inside and found several crystal-clear beads sitting there ready for her to pick up. This may be my first attempt at this formula, but 5 in one attempt. That's not bad at all. Cleaning up the mess around herself, she gave one final meaningful glance in the direction of that black pool before heading towards the exit. On the Holy Island, a white light flashed into existence, and out came Bai Yan's figure from within the bronze gate. And as if signaled by this, the door also disappeared following her departure, and reformed into the 3 keys that landed into the woman's hand. Bai Yan wasn't going to dump the 3 artifacts away, of course. She still had other things inside that she wishes to investigate, especially that black pool on a later date. Yenner! Suddenly, a happy and surprised call came from the front. Looking up, Bai Yan immediately saw it was her own grandfather by Chang Feng of the medicine sect. The senior showed a smile as he slowly walked over from the distance. Grandfather, delighted as well over the familiar sight, Bai Yan hurries forward in order to meet the senior halfway. You still haven't left the Holy Land? Giving a long sigh. After you went into the miracle, I and that Wu Wei did leave for our respective home, but something happened in these lands while you were away. Seeing the expression there, Bai Yan's voice turned solemn. What happened? Bitterly smiling, the grandpa went ahead to explain the whole story. Not long ago, that slave you sent back to the spirit realm came to us with news. She said their forces are invading and intends to slaughter everyone on this piece of land. Narrowing her eyes in over that bit, a frosty coldness flickered within Bai Yan's face. This spirit realm. They are indeed making a move. And then, she asks again with a dangerous glow. Then, Chu Ran had everyone come to the Holy Island, including the Lan family. We used the barrier around this place to protect everyone from those celestial rank cultivators. Just that. Chu Ran is simply unreliable. The barrier around the island couldn't completely fend off the attacks, and nearly collapsed. Thankfully Di Xiao Wan brought over a horde of demons with her in the nick of time. We were saved thanks to the help. Di Xiao Wan, blinking her eyes in startlement. But then where's Di Tsong? She said her brother is currently inside the secret domain looking for Xiaochen, and is not in the demon realm. Because of that, he didn't get the news of the invasion. A long silence hung over the mother's heart upon hearing her son's name. Di Tsong went looking for Xiaochen? It can't be. Something happened to my boy. While her heart trembled, and those hands clenched with unease, a promise suddenly surfaced in her mind. It's the promise she shared with her husband, and that was trust. If Di Tsong said their son would be fine, then it's a wife's duty to trust her husband. At the very least, until he proves otherwise. So Bai Yin won't rush off in search of her son like she would in the past, getting a little better in her complexion over the trust she held for the two males in her life. Bai Yin controls her mood, so it doesn't affect those here. Then where is Di Xiao Wan and the others? How come I don't see them here? That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.